Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Try Not to Fall Out, and we're on episode 8. And today we're doing something a little different. We're not talking about a video game today. We are talking about a movie, and that is Deadpool and Wolverine. So we both seen it. We both liked it. Let's talk about it.
It's one of those movies which I wasn't expecting it to go so deep into
It's
the
gay.
actual. It's they got away with a lot, which I was surprised with that Disney let Ryan Reynolds get away with, which is great. I think even 16-year-olds, it's a bit graphic and a bit much for. It's the way it should be. It has to be made this way. If they didn't make it this way, this movie would be.
It wouldn't have been true to the characters, because if you think of Wolverine, who fucks anything that breathes, and then if you think of Deadpool, who is Deadpool, it just makes sense that they're both awful. So I'm glad that they did that.
I'm a fan of Marvel. I fell off a long time ago, though. I was kind of getting fed up after. Do you not remember when all the movies were coming out? Like there was a whole thing where I was going to see every single movie. I kind of falling off the Marvel train. I think it was after. I can't remember which one or two of them that came after Civil War. At that stage, I was the whole everyone getting beaten, and then eventually we all rise up to the end and win. And oh my god, I did. I was
I know we're not talking about this, but the only people that do the multiverse as well, other than Deadpool, because that's his thing, is the Spider-Man. That's a movie we have to talk about as well.
Yeah.
You know, the animated one.
The animated
Miles Morales. They are the only ones that I can watch a multiverse with. Like anyone else, I'm like Doctor Strange. I hate that movie so much. The CGI was awful. The acting was awful. I'm so glad that the bald bitch in this film killed Doctor Strange, or at least it was hinted that she killed Doctor Strange. I don't know if you caught that, but yeah.
My problem with the multiverse stuff and the way they went about it in the Marvel universe, there's no real urgency, or and there's no real because there's always another version of that character somewhere else that they can just pull from. That's what I got kind of worried out, because that's what they're playing on. That's what they're joking about in this movie, right? In Deadpool. Yeah, so, but that's what I was getting tired of, because it's all cool being able to, what if it was like this and what if it was like that. They actually have a cartoon on the Disney channel called What If, and it's like, what if in Marvel, it was the woman that became Iron Man instead of Iron Man, and it's good though, and they did it in the cartoon, and it's nice, and they conclude that very quickly, where these movies are so drawn out and so long, you just get over it. I'm tired of it.
Deadpool and Wolverine. We start out.
Yeah, he's at a gravesite, and it doesn't really explain what's happening, and then he's about to kill a bunch of bad guys, and then he's like, okay, before this starts, let me go back to the beginning, and it kind of flashes back then to when he's selling cars then.
Selling cars, and he hates the Honda Odyssey, guys. This is really important to the story. He does not like that car. He thinks it's bad.
About the Honda Odyssey, I didn't own one, but I drove one for a few months because it was a friend's car.
How did it feel?
It's not nice.
It's not nice, but if you went through flames, I bet you it would keep you safe.
It's not a nice car. I didn't like it. It's sluggish. Everything.
Better Wolverine in the boot.
But it was hilarious because it touched a chord with me, because I was like, God, man, remember when I had that car? Jesus.
I also hate that car. Yeah. Oh my god, I'm literally Deadpool. So he is he's in this. I love this scene, by the way, where he's in the car and there's two children on either side of him. He's and then the girl's just so how does this compare to the Kia? And then he's because it doesn't fucking suck. And she's you can say it without swearing. And it just reminded me of my mom, because anytime I swear, that's literally how she responds. But I just love it, because it's it also just reminds me of me as an autistic person who has tried time and time again to get a normal job. And time again, I've been put in those situations and I've ended up saying something that is not appropriate. So I related very much to Wade in that scene. I really enjoyed that scene. But it's also why are you selling cars? What's going on? Even though we spoke about Spider-Man at the start, there's actually already something to pull us back, because there's another guy who works at the car sales place as well. But his name's Peter.
He's Deadpool's Peter, and every Deadpool has a Peter. It's like Rick and Morty, every Rick has a Morty.
But that's usually the name of Spider-Man, who Deadpool is on record saying he's obsessed with, so I really liked that. I thought that was pretty good. So he has, as you said, he's got the suit in the locker, and he's are you sure you don't want to go back to being Deadpool? And, Wade's just no, fucking put that back. and he's got like a toupee on. He's like what did he do? He like stapled it to
Yeah,
his head,
because
right?
basically in Deadpool 2, he got Cable's time travel device fixed and went back and fixed all his issues. Went back and saved all his friends and everything, and he solved everything. So there's nothing to do. Like he has no more crime to fight, nothing to do or any of that. I don't know, people to save because he used time travel to fix all his issues from the last movie.
He's selling
So he's
cars
just doing because
badly.
but he's having the crisis like that because even his ex-girlfriend, I think, or ex-fiance, were they engaged or?
But I'm going to speak about that later, but we can stick on
Yeah,
this just
good,
now.
but he's having a crisis basically because he's trying to find something to do with use his powers and his
So of course he tries to join the Avengers.
yes. So he
And
does
that's not successful.
yeah, he meets Happy, and that was a good scene. It's like I love the way he keeps like saying you were the driver, like it's.
The guy on the desk is like, we are the Avengers. And he's like, sorry, we? What are you? Why are you the Avenger of parallel parking? Like,
Me?
I was like, oh my god. And then immediately he was like, sorry, I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. He's literally that. I do that all the time. When you say something fucked up, so you have no impulse control, and then you immediately go, I'm sorry, that wasn't right of me. I shouldn't have said that. You probably don't, because you're like, a mostly neurotypical Irish man that works a normal job. But me, I'd be saying shit like that all the time. Maybe not parallel parking though. But I love that. And then
That was a great
does anything else?
scene.
Oh yeah, and then he goes. It's his birthday. He gets a surprise birthday party. But before he gets to his apartment, he sees someone's
surprise
taking a
party.
picture of him without his consent. And then Peter's like, "Are you sad because it's your birthday?" Which is the realest thing ever. And he's like, "No, it's fine." And then they get to the apartment, and he and they're like, "Surprise!" And he's like, You should be happy. I don't have a gun on me." I thought was funny as well. He's like, "I'm unarmed." But yeah, I love this. And then they take the Polaroid and he keeps it with him the whole time. That is so sweet. I love that.
Yeah, he's crazy, and breaking the fourth wall nonstop, all that sort of stuff. But like
Just a guy.
reliving his mental state. Like people say that's like a Deadpool power that he knows, and he is able to interact with us, and that's like a Deadpool power in some sort of way. Not many other people can do that. Interacting with us and stuff like that in that sense, and I it's cool. I like that, and I like that he keeps the picture because that's what he references.
Yeah, that's a common theme. Yeah. But yeah, he blows out his candle. And then all of a sudden there's a knock at the door. So he goes to the door, and there's a bunch of guys in armor, and he's like, "Come with us." And he's like, "I don't know if I want to do that." And then they and then he's like, yeah, he's like, "Oh, so you're the dancers I ordered, but I'm just letting you know we get nasty here." And he puts like the mint in his mouth, and he's like, "I want eye contact, not with you." And then he points at the guy in the back that's like minding his own business, and he goes, "I want eye contact with you."
I know I can't see your eyes, but
Yeah, and then he says, "You think I've never been pegged before?" And it's like, what's going on? And then he says he's not a natural bottom, and I'm just like, I can't. There's so much happening already. Yeah, and these guys are they're trying to
I was
take him somewhere.
I was talking to you about this before stream, before recording. There's someone in Disney, like they needed Ryan Reynolds to explain to them what pegging is.
That's true. You could just Google it, bro.
Like all the lines needed to be proved before being used in scenes and stuff.
The people that approved this movie in Disney are the same people that let me get partner on YouTube.
It's
the exact same people.
It's crazy what they get away with.
So yeah, we learn a lot about Wade in a short period of time. He's not a natural bottom. So people who think that he bottoms, you're not exactly right. He doesn't, okay? But that's like, we'll talk about that later. Elder's like, fuck, what? So he gets taken away by these guards, and he's in this place that I've never seen before. It's like a room with a guy.
If you watch the Loki series, you know what it's from. It's they're all on that.
I was just gonna say both my parents knew who this guy was immediately.
Oh yeah.
They were like, "Oh, it's the guy from Spooks," and I'm like, "What the fuck is Spooks?" And they're like, "It's this program we used to watch. Like, he's done really well for himself if he's here." So my parents immediately knew who he was. I had no clue. Bro's called Paradox, and he's like so cunty and rude and full of himself and so British. He's so British, it's obnoxious, but it works for him.
He really plays into the evil-ish kind of character, and I like it. And he's funny, but he's also evil, and it plays the role perfect. I thought he did a great job too, but
Oh, he did. I agree.
These guys are from the Loki series, which were supposed to be the whole thing Marvel was going into with the Kang series, but they fired the guy for what did he beat up his wife or something like that, or was he doing something with?
Whoa, whoa, wait! The Paradox beat up his
No,
wife?
no,
What's
no.
happening?
The guy that was supposed to play Kang, the
You
evil character, the whole.
okay? No, you're speaking a language I don't understand, bro. Please don't sue
But
me.
those guys that are in
Thank you.
the orange kind of, what are they called, the TV something, or what are they called, the
TV. They're called the TVA,
TVA, yeah,
and they're in
those guys.
charge of looking after the timelines in the different
So
universes.
that guy Kang created them, basically, the TVA. He made them.
Do they know about what's happened? Do they know that he abused his
So,
girlfriend, or
but they're using them because they rewrite, they keep a set timeline for everyone, like you said, like basically what Wade Wilson did in the last movie, back in time and rewrote stuff that he should have been pruned.
but it wasn't about that. But it wasn't about that,
Yeah, no,
which was
they
fun.
didn't really care
Because
about.
I was like, oh, because
They didn't really care
I
about
feel
that.
like if you were watching it, you would have expected it to be about that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But
yeah,
then they go, oh no, we actually need you for something really, really important.
yeah.
And obviously, Wade has flashbacks to like Vanessa being like, oh, you need to do something, you need to prove something, and then he's thinking about his friends and he's thinking about all these things. And he's like, yeah, this is. And then the guy, Paradox, knows that, Wade has bad self esteem and is like, this is your chance, to mean something.
Yeah.
And I was upset at this part because how dare you, you know? And my parents were like, "What are you on about?" And I'm like, "Why does he mean something anyway? Just by simply existing, you shouldn't have to do anything to mean something." But I don't, regardless. So then he's like, "Okay, damn." So he gets a new suit and everything from these guys, and the guy like feels his ass like 10 million times.
Just keep slapping it. It's so good.
Yeah, it was so funny. Like, and he's like, and then he comes back and he's like, "Your tailor is a predator, and I love it." Like,
Yeah.
oh my god. And he gets new katanas, like he's proper dripped out. We get like he does a little walk, and everyone's like looking at him, and there's one guy who's looking at him like really dramatically. And then he's like, "Yeah, that guy's like hard right now." And then the guy's like phoning HR, and he's like, "Why does your girlfriend work for HR?" And it's like, what?
You phone, yeah. Who you on the phone to? HR.
Oh, your girlfriend's in HR. And then Paradox is like, great, yeah, but I don't think you're really getting it. And he's like, why? And he's like, yeah, we need to destroy your universe.
Yeah, so that's why I think he doesn't care about his whole time travel and stuff and rewriting stuff, because
Because you're gonna get rid of it.
yeah, they're gonna
Yeah,
delete
the
it all
stuff you
anyway.
fixed,
So.
we're getting rid of it anyway.
Yeah,
So
so yeah, so you don't really
but
care.
unfortunately, Paradox and everyone else at the TV are kind of freaking stupid because you're gonna equip the man and then say it. Like,
Yeah.
like, really? So,
yeah, I didn't get that part when they did all that, and they're like, yeah, but
I mean, it happened so the movie could work, I
yeah,
guess.
I guess, but yeah, that was a weak spot for me.
I
But
mean, there's a lot of things that happen in this movie that kind of don't really make sense. I feel like,
but
I feel like for that, it's kind of.
but that part, yeah, like, but
Uh,
like they had control over that part, and I feel like the TVA would have been a bit smarter.
I
But
think maybe what they were doing is the thing is Paradox wasn't actually that smart because we find out pretty quickly after this moment that they're actually not working for the TVA. Paradox has gone rogue.
Yeah.
And they're doing their own thing. And Paradox is actually he's one of those people who's very smart but very dumb. Like he's one of those people who's super intelligent but lacks common sense. That's what he was giving me. So I feel like maybe he kind of because as he mentioned as well, the higher ups like Deadpool, but he didn't. He didn't think he was all that. So I think maybe it comes down to him underestimating Deadpool and thinking, well, if I give him all this new stuff, like he's going to be that easy to persuade. I think maybe that's where they were going with it. Kind of reflecting on how stupid Paradox is and the fact that it's not actually the TVA that are in charge of this. So, because I feel like if it was the TVA, he wouldn't have got a suit like that. But I feel like because Paradox is kind of dumb, I feel like he was like, oh, if I give him all this stuff, he's going to join us, surely. And then Wade kind of makes him think that he is. He's like, yeah, okay, I'm in. And he's like, yeah, good, that's the right choice. And he goes, I'm in to break your nose. And then he breaks his nose.
Yeah. And then he jumps.
So good. And then he jumps, yeah. And that guy that's
guy.
obsessed with him, but was actually, yeah, the guy that was actually phoning HR is like looking at him.
smiling as his
Yeah,
arse is going right towards his
yeah.
face.
And then before he squishes him, there's a portal that suddenly shows up, and yeah, he goes through that.
And he grabs the cup. He grabs his cup off the desk.
So yeah, so the guy tells him that basically the reason that his universe is getting destroyed is because Logan's dead. And he's like,
he was the anchor.
Which Logan? And then he was the anchor being. So every universe has got an anchor being, which means a person who's so important that if they die, the whole universe is fucked, basically. So they show clips of like Logan, from the movie when he's like, getting buried, and it's all very sad.
Yeah, and he does the line, they're all like noting the line at the same time and everything.
Yeah, and then there's also a few other clips that are being shown as well at the same time, and one of them is of Deadpool being held by Thor, and Thor's crying, and that becomes like a constant theme of this film because Deadpool is like, why is Thor crying? And he's like, it doesn't matter, and like it matters so much, it matters. So everyone's been even online, people are like, why was Thor crying? And it's so funny. But the guy is like, yeah, no, anyway, so Logan's dead, which means we're fucked, so this universe has to go bye-bye. And the TVA want it to happen in like 1,000 years, but Paradox in his infinite wisdom is like, no, I think it should be done quickly, so I'm giving you 72 hours before it's ruined. And because Wade said no to the deal, Wade's like, I'll find another way. So he's going to find another Wolverine. Because he thinks he can replace anchor beings, which we find out later. You can't really do that, but whatever. So yeah, he goes through the portal.
He goes to try to find his original Logan.
One of my yeah, that's true. He does that first, doesn't he? So he goes
to find the Logan that died.
Yeah, he goes to the same place that the Logan when he died. So the grave looks the exact same as the one that the girl made for him. And I feel like a lot of people probably have mixed feelings about this, but that's why it's funny. Because like maybe one of the most depressing moments in cinema has now been made into this, and I really like that. Because for me, if you're like me, I was speaking to my friend Freya about this, but this movie was really special to me because I'm someone with really overactive empathy, and I really struggle to watch films because I feel as though those things are happening in real life. I get quite attached to characters, so if something gets sad for too long, it genuinely affects my state, my mental state. But this movie had the perfect line. Like, it really danced that line perfectly between sad and then funny. Sad and then funny. And that was one of these moments where he's, like, at the grave, and he's digging it up, and we're all, like, thinking what's about to happen, and then and then he just starts swearing. He's like, fuck, and then he starts, like, his spade, like, gets broken in half, and he, like, chucks it away, and then all of a sudden he's sitting beside a skeleton, and it's so funny. Like, it shouldn't be. Because it's sad.
Adamantium skeleton, too. It's all Wolverine skeleton, obviously, if that hasn't been said.
Oh, yeah, it's the Wolverine skeleton. The Wolverine skeleton. So he's sitting there and talking to it, and then all of a sudden, these portals show up, and it's the guys again from the TVA. And maybe the best thing ever happens. And my mum, the whole time this scene was happening, my mum was like, why is he doing that? Why is he using his bones? I'm like, Mum.
But the guards,
okay.
The TVA guards say something about you don't do
You're
not
under
touch
arrest for so many crimes,
and do not touch your weapons or something like that. He's like, don't worry, I'm not gonna touch my weapons or something like that. And then he just starts like taking apart Logan's dead body. Yeah, he just takes apart
Logan's skeleton and starts fighting with it, and it's amazing. It's one of the most impressive opening credit scenes I've ever seen. Like, because they did it where like he would throw a bone, and it would kill someone, but like halfway through the throw, it would show the person's name on the bone.
Yeah,
and then bye was playing in the background. It was so comical, and I know that what's his name? Our guy, actually, Ryan Reynolds, didn't actually do the dancing for it. It was another guy that did the dancing, because apparently he was asked about it, or someone on set was asked about it, and they went, yeah, Ryan Reynolds isn't that good at dancing. So he did like a few of the movements, but the majority of the movements were done by a dancer who is now viral, so good for him.
Yeah.
But that scene was so funny. It was, but the thing is, it was also so fucked up because that's literally Logan's skeleton. You're just chucking it apart and everything. And he went, I know what you're wondering. How do we do this without desecrating a body? We don't. It's like, oh no. Oh no. So yeah, all of the guards end up dead eventually. But there's a scene where like he makes like I don't know how he does this so quickly, but he makes a contraption, doesn't he, on his hands, where it makes it so he can extend the claws.
So he basically straps the claws to his own arms, and then he claws one guy up the freaking arse, and then
he's like, I'm so wet right now. And then he like, but of course, because he's not Wolverine, it's his first time ever using the Wolverine claws, so like he gets it stuck in a guy's ass, and then he also gets it stuck in another guy's crotch.
Yeah.
And then he tries to pull them both.
And they're both just screaming at him.
And then another guy shows up and is like, that is sick. So funny.
Oh man. Yeah.
But then the guy makes fun, and then the guy makes fun of Canada. And all of a sudden it gets really serious, and he like gets his katana out and just completely like one shots him with the katana. He's like, keep Canada out your mouth. Yeah, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Because he's Canadian. And Wolverine's also Canadian, right?
Both are Canadian characters. And like like Ryan Reynolds, he's from Canada anyway, right? He's from Saskatchewan.
Oh yeah, Canada. He is.
So that's a big deal for him.
Yeah.
And like I love it. I love that he finally just
I love the delivery though on the like, you're fucking sick, and he's there with the two bodies, like it's like, oh my god. So yeah.
And then
he kills all them.
And then after this, then there's a few of my favorite scenes when he starts to meet all the other Wolverines. Then,
oh, they made me almost cry from laughter. Like the first one he goes to see is the one where it's like people are throwing axes, right? And he just shows up in the axe lane, which is hilarious because like I think a normal person would be terrifying, but because it's Deadpool, like he doesn't give a fuck. So he shows up where they're throwing axes. And it's so funny because like they only show the top of Wolverine when he's sitting at the bar, and it looks like normal Hugh Jackman. And if you were watching this for the first time, you're thinking, oh, they found him already, you know? He's found him. And then, do you want to tell them what happens, Elder?
Yeah. He jumps off the stool then.
And he's canonical height.
He's tiny, like, because in the comic book,
he's a tiny Wolverine.
He's like, what was he, like 5'5" or something, or lower? Like,
okay, I'm gonna be real with you. I'm gonna say something real quick. In the comics, he's the same height as me in real life. He's 5'3", and this guy looked smaller than that.
Yeah, he did.
Let me just say that because I at least if I'm at a bar. Yeah, he was, because if I'm at a bar, I'm at least able to look over the bar. Like, I'm not that small. Yeah. Whereas this guy was like toddler size. It was hilarious. Yeah. I was almost crying the first time I saw it. I was like, holy shit. And then he starts talking like, he's like, hey buddy, did you stick the landing? It's so funny. He was like, oh, so yeah, that doesn't work out. And then what's the next one he goes to? I'm trying to
He goes to a bunch. So there's one where there's like a guy strapped to like a cross or something like that, and he's like,
which is from the comics. Yeah,
so that's like end world.
I've seen that in the comics.
That's like apocalypse.
Really like, fucked up. Yeah, and he's like, sorry, I don't think we're on the same page or something, and then he leaves.
Yeah, just leaves.
And then there's another one who like looks like he's from Kiss.
Yeah.
You know, with the hair and like. And then he starts beating the fuck out of him, which is hilarious.
Yeah, he's missing his arm.
And then my favorite one was probably the old guy who's just sitting on his porch, and then he's like, oh, that's gonna be a problem, because he looks up and he's got the grey beard, and then he just pulls out a fucking shotgun and just like shoots him. I love that one. And that was so good.
And then there's the one that he meets the what was the name of the character in the casino? That Logan has a name. He's a special one.
Oh, he was so cool looking.
Patch. That's his name. His name is Patch. So that's
he fucks him up as well.
Yeah. So then he meets Patch in the casino, and then he meets my favorite was when he meets Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill.
Oh, Wolverine. That was so funny, and he's like, "It feels so right."
Yeah, so good. He's like fixing a motorbike or something like that, and he just comes in.
And then he like references The Witcher, and he's like, we'll treat you so much better."
It's so good.
Oh, and man, that was so funny.
And then finally he runs into the one that we're going to deal with then.
He runs into my fate, and I love this scene. I've got so much to say about this scene because, like, even Deadpool says it himself. He's like, usually you'd be fighting me by now. You know? Like, this Wolverine is so depressed.
He's fed up. So, he's done.
Like,
he's
he's depressed. He's got fucking depression, bro. He's like, so everything about him just screams like, I don't want to be here anymore. You know, and even the guy at the bar's like, can you leave? You're not welcome.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, just let me get one more drink. And then Deadpool just slowly, like, you see him like slide into the side of the bar. And he's like, can you leave the bottle? And he's like, who the fuck are you? And then I can't remember what happens, but basically I think he refuses to get up. So Deadpool kind of tries to pull him off the chair. He stands up. And then this is one of my favorite. It's been gifted so many times. But when Deadpool gets the gun and puts it near him, and he goes, you know, I don't want to, you know, put a hole in your fucking head. He says something more fucked up than that, but that's basically what he said. And then Wolverine looks at him, smiles, and then leans his head against the barrel of the fucking gun. And let me tell you, that goes so hard. Hugh Jackman is an amazing actor because, like, the look in his eyes, he looks so sad. And yet he smiles and does that. It fit perfectly. And then
he missed it just before that scene. Though he tries to pull his claws out and he can't. And he.
Oh, and it's tiny. Yeah, because he's drunk, and then Deadpool's like, "Oh, this happens to all Wolverines over 50."
Yeah.
So yeah, that happens, which was hilarious. And then yeah, he's like, "Give me a minute," and he picks up the bottle and he starts drinking and drinking and drinking. And then Deadpool's like, "Oh, thirsty little honey badger, aren't you?" And then he passes the fuck out, like dead weight, and his like claws go into the floor, right?
Yep.
So he tries to pick him up, and he's like, "What the fuck?" So, yeah, that was so funny to me. I was like,
he kind of lifts his shirt up, and he's like, "What are you wearing? They're nice pajamas or something." He says to him. Yeah, and then next of all, they teleport back to the TVA, and
yeah, back to TVA, and the guy's like, "What the fuck have you done?" And he's like, "Look, I got a Wolverine."
Yeah.
And this scene kind of made me sad. It was funny, and then it got sad. And that's the thing with this movie, as I said before. It dances the line quite a lot. There was a few, and people look at me weird when I say this, but there was a few times during this film I almost cried. Like, did we watch the same film? But I'm telling you, bro, it's my overactive fucking empathy. So yeah, he is like, "Hey, you're an idiot. Like, you can't replace an anchor being, you dumbass. And also, I would have preferred any other Wolverine, but you brought me the worst Wolverine." And Deadpool's like, "What? What do you mean the worst one?" And he's like, "This guy has failed everyone." And it's sad because you think Wolverine's passed out, but then the camera pans and he's awake and he's listening to it. That's fucked up. That's fucked up. They did him dirty. They did him so dirty. So then I can't remember what Deadpool says. But Paradox is just done. So he just takes his fucking, it looks like a wand.
Yeah.
Or a cane or something.
It's called
and he just taps him with it and he disappears.
It's called pruning. So it's what they do. Yeah. So it's what they do to. I highly recommend go watch the Loki series. It's actually pretty good. It's on Disney.
Oh, is it also a reference to that?
It's the TVA are all in it, right? And the Loki gets tied into doing all their stuff.
But, that's what they do to people.
If you're like so anything that you shouldn't belong in that timeline, or they can see into the future, knowing that.
Or if you misbehave or don't agree with them.
Like if you're not gonna do, or you're gonna fuck up the timeline in the future at some stage, they'll prune you, and you get sent to this.
They prune you.
You get sent to this weird planet, this weird end of world place.
So so Deadpool like vanishes, and Wolverine stands up, and he's like, "Where the fuck did he go?" And then he suddenly tries to kill Paradox. He like runs at him, and he almost gets him, but he manages to do it in time. And then he's like, "Oh, that was close."
With his broken nose.
And here starts, the first lovers' quarrel.
Yeah,
like they're already fighting. Like they're in this. I have to say as well, I really like the direction that they used when it's Deadpool lying on the ground. And he's like, you could tell he's hurt and he's like over it, and then all you see slowly is the shadow of Wolverine over him, and then all of a sudden you see Wolverine just like over him, standing over him, and then he takes his fucking claws out and picks him up because he's like, "Are you gonna give me a hand?" And he picks him up with his fucking claws
in his ribs,
which I assume, so I wonder about that, because I'm assuming by that moment he realizes by now that Deadpool's a mutant or something like that.
He doesn't care.
Like, how does he know that won't kill him? Or does he just not give a fuck? Well, I feel like he kind of does, though, because he's asking where he is.
Thing is, like, Wolverine is so freaking done. He doesn't care. Like, you will learn later on.
So depressed.
Like, he will murder anyone.
I want him so bad.
And the thing is, what I liked about it is when And this is where the R rating comes in these fight scenes are just so bloody, so gory, so good.
But it's realistic.
I
Like I love
love,
the part where he like runs at
yeah,
Deadpool, you know,
and he
like an
runs like an
animal.
animal, and that's why I love the fighting styles. They actually
So good.
pull them out of the comics and pull them out of the cartoons and stuff like that. And the yellow and blue suit, so good. I would have taken
It goes so
and brown.
hard.
The orange and brown would have been nice too because that's his original color. But I'll go with the yellow and blue from the cartoons. I'll take that too.
It was so good. Like I loved the fight scenes.
And
Like
then they reference that a lot, and I love the way they reference like how long did it take you to finally get you in your in the outfit,
yeah,
basically.
but
Like
then it ends up being depressing. That's another thing with this. I'm not going to say it right now because we're not there yet. But like
yeah,
that's another thing. Like the reason he wears the suit is depressing because you meet this Wolverine and you're like, there's no fucking way this guy would wear a suit. You know, like a superhero suit. But he
yeah.
does,
Well,
and it's
that's
like what? And Deadpool's constantly asking him, why are you wearing that?
it all gets explained, and that's what I like. And the fight scene is really awesome in this, and
Oh
this
yeah, and
in Deadpool,
yeah, they really go for each
because
other, and
you
then
always wonder like what will happen if those two ever did fight. Like it's always a question you would have had if you grew up watching the cartoons and the comic books, because we all know Wolverine was always my favorite X-Men all the time. I played the video games, I read the books, I watched the comics, I watched the cartoons. I always loved him. I loved his like his sort of. I love the idea of someone having to deal with immortality. Like I've talked about this before, and how would you live with watching everyone die your whole life? He's been through like the Civil War. He's been through World War One, Two. He's been through it all. Like he's seen
so
it everything.
depressed.
Like he's over 200 and odd years old. Like, and he's seen so much. Like, and then dead. You got dead. So
I've said this in previous podcast episodes. My favorite type of man is a pathetic man, and they really hit it on the head with this one. Like this is my favorite Wolverine. I don't care what anyone has to say. This one's the most pathetic out of all of them.
Well, I was reading up about their powers in this instance. So Wolverine's always at his top peak, right? His thing is always regenerating to the point where every bit of his body is at its best. Well, Deadpool's a little different, where his body's always regenerating, but it regenerates a lot of his worst.
He's always at his worst, Deadpool.
Exactly.
Like he's
And
always
that's
in
the thing.
pain because of the cancer. Like he's
Yeah.
constantly just hurting,
So
and there's something psychological with that. I feel like Deadpool seeks out pain so that it's different from the pain he has to go through constantly because it's bound to constantly hurt.
Deadpool
So
wants to die. Well, the comic books and the cartoons, he wants to die. Because, and the reason he wants to die is because he's in love with Lady Death, and Lady Death
I'm
is
sorry,
actually
but the
a
delivery on that was
being.
so funny.
But the Lady Death is a living being in the comic books and in the cartoons.
Yeah, I know.
So he's trying to get to be with her, and that's his curse. Is to live.
But now he wants to live because he found a boyfriend.
So
anyway, they fight and
it's awesome.
his swords are still in him. Like
Baby dagger.
Wolverine has his swords in him and the baby dagger, yeah. When they go, because like people appear out of nowhere.
And Deadpool's guns get cut in half.
Yeah. And a guy appears out of nowhere,
So
and Deadpool's like, "Look, it's him." Wolverine's like, "Who?" Like Wolverine still wants to fucking fight Deadpool, but all of a sudden they've reached a stalemate because there's random people showing up.
If you've been watching the Marvel series, you know who it is, right? The whole you recognize the voice, and straight away
actually, that's one of my favorite parts because everyone thinks that they're like, "Oh my god, it's him!" And then he goes, he's gonna say the line, and then what is it he says? Because I know Deadpool goes, "Avengers assemble," but the guy says something completely different.
Yeah, he says, see now this is where I'm showing my timeline of it because I haven't seen it in a week.
I saw it last night and I don't remember.
He's the Human Torch, right?
Yeah.
So he lights up like a fire. So
it's so anticlimactic.
Yeah, he's from the freaking the worst Fantastic Four movie I've ever seen. Johnny Johnny Torch. But he lights up on fire, and
it's so epic. And then all of a sudden, these random guys show up in these Mad Max-ish vehicles.
Is that when he has like he crashes into the thing and I thought he was dead at that stage. You know when at the start.
Oh yeah, you think he dies, right? Yeah.
I thought broke his neck or something.
He's not, because I guess he also regenerates or something. I don't know.
And then Sabretooth comes out.
I loved that scene where it's like finally the fans are gonna see Sabretooth versus Wolverine, and then Wolverine one taps him. His head falls off. And then all of a sudden Deadpool's like, "I have your queen's head." I am the one who
He's doing
controls.
freaking.
And then he started doing he started referring to Wolverine as her over and over again. It was so funny. He's like, I'm the
But he
one
was
who
doing
controls her.
he was doing Furiosa, like he was doing the freaking.
Yeah, and then he goes up to Wolverine. He's like, sorry, I have what was it, pronoun? Like he can't see pronouns, or he's like blind to pronouns, and he goes, "Sorry, it's my weight to bear." And Wolverine doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't know what's going on, but he just lets him call him her over and over again. It's so funny. And then like one by one, these guys get sent out to try and fight them. And that's it was so funny. Like it was so good.
And then they catch them with a magnet or something like that, right?
Oh yeah, they got a giant magnet. And they both get on there and they're like right against each other. And then all of a sudden a giant thing gets drawn to the magnet and they pass out. And then when they wake up, they're like tied to each other completely. And it's so funny because he's like, how long was I out for? Yeah, he's like, how long was I out for? And he goes, not all of you was out. And then my dad didn't get that until like 10 minutes later. And then he went, oh! I'm like, yeah, his dick was hard. Yeah, that's the joke. Yep. I mean, I don't blame him. If I had a penis, mine would be too if I was up against Wolverine. Can you blame him? And then Johnny's there.
Yeah. And then I love the scene when they get there, and they finally, what's her name comes out. What was her name in this again?
One thing at a time. Because Johnny says something important. Remember, where he starts talking about the person we're about to meet, the girl. And then he's like, oh yeah, everything is by her rules, but then it skips, right? And we come back to that at the end of the film, which I never would have thought. But it's quite funny because it paints Deadpool as if he's just talking shit to get this guy killed for no reason. But in reality, it turns out, if you wait till the very end of the credits, Johnny started talking shit about the girl. Yeah, right at the end. He actually did, and there was a camera inside the ball. And Deadpool wasn't lying, but the whole movie, you're made to think that for some reason Deadpool just made this guy get killed. I
love that part when he's just like, I don't even know half that means.
Yeah, I know, and it's believable. You think, like, why would Deadpool do that? So yeah,
Deadpool would do that. Like,
he would exactly, but it just shows, you know. So
yeah, they arrive at the compound, which is Giant Ant-Man. Dead corpse.
Yeah, very epic.
Yeah, and they meet the main kind of bad lady. I can't remember her name, and
Cassandra Nova.
Cassandra, Cassandra Nova. Who she is the sister to
the twin of Charles Xavier.
Twins of Charles Xavier, which is real, which is
but I like how she she shows up in a wheelchair and then all of a sudden she gets up and she starts walking down, and then Deadpool's like, that's ableist, they're not gonna like that. Oh my god. And she doesn't give a fuck about anyone but the Wolverine. It's very interesting because obviously like there's so many Deadpools, but like Wolverines are rare. So she's like, ooh, a Wolverine.
Exactly.
And Deadpool's like, excuse me.
Not letting them die.
Excuse me. So yeah, and then I can't remember what happens, but they end up trying to fight her, and obviously it doesn't work well. And they both end up kind of getting bodied by her. And then eventually she's like, well, you know what? Goliath is going to take care of you. But at first she goes like that to Johnny after Deadpool's like, Johnny was talking shit about you, and she like points at him kind of. And then all of a sudden he just turns to guts and blood, like his whole skin comes off, and it's like gross. It was so sudden. It was like, huh?
And
I was so surpurprised, bro.
Yeah,
like it really like
falls a bit.
Yeah, like I didn't realize how powerful she was until that moment. Like I had an idea, but seeing it like that, like when she she lifted her finger and Wolverine went under the ground, I was like, no, Wolverine, no. He just got here.
She is crazily powerful. Like Charles
She's
Xavier's
also kind of psychotic.
Well, she's grew up in that universe. She's been there since she was a baby.
And she's really English as well, which is nothing I would wish on anyone. So it's like, and I love when, what is it Deadpool says as well? He's like, oh, more competition for evil British person or something. He meant, oh, another English villain or something like that. It was so funny.
But, like they have a bit of a conversation, this and that, and they want to get back, but she won't help them. She doesn't really care.
She's like, I can
Why
put you
would I?
back
Yeah.
to where you need to be, but I don't want you to. I'm
So
not
then
gonna.
she basically Goliath comes,
You
and if you
know,
don't know who Goliath is, again, it's another reference back to the Loki series. Goliath is these.
giant
It's a
shadow
big
thing that eats
cloud
people.
thing that looks like a monster, and it will destroy. Nothing can kill it. Even that Cassandra Nova is scared of it. She has to hide from it. So
I can.
it'll eat and destroy everything. Nothing
I
can
can
kill
kill
it.
it.
And it's what Kang found, and he just sends everything to it that he needs wiped out of the universe because nothing can beat it.
Yeah. So she's like, yeah, rent's
Yeah.
due, and you're the
So
rent. And then
if
they're sitting there, and they're like, fuck. And then Wolverine, being smart, gets this
like a big foot,
contraption that
I
can
think it's
shoot you
from
in the
the
air.
if
Yeah.
you watch the
And,
cartoons and the comic books, it's from there. That's a foot from one of the robots that kills. That's the mutant destroyers. So that's a reference to that. So they
oh,
fly
okay.
off on that thing. They jump.
Yeah. So Wolverine's like kicking it, and then Wolverine's like, "You coming?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then he hangs on his body as they go up
Yeah,
in the air, and she
yeah.
watches him leave, and then she goes inside. Um, and then they wake up, and they're like in the middle of like a field on a cliff kind of thing.
Is that when
Um,
they meet
and
Nice
then
Pool?
is this
Oh, they meet the
Yeah, they meet
dog.
Nice Pool, but they don't meet Nice Pool
Yeah.
until they meet the dog first, which is my mum's favorite part of the movie because it is the ugliest dog in the world. Not calling it that. I'm not calling it that. Like literally, it won like a prize for being the ugliest dog in the world. And Ryan Reynolds saw it and was like, "I need that in the
Because
movie."
there's a
So this
dog pool in
dog,
the comic
like
books too. Like so. Yeah.
there is a yeah, but this
Yeah.
one's fucked up, and it comes running to them, and it's got like a wee like Deadpool
Has
onesie on, and it's
has
the
a
cute. It's so
crazy
cute.
tongue.
Like had a crazy tongue, crazy tongue. And Deadpool falls in love
Yeah.
with it, and Wolverine's
Yeah.
just like,
Get rid
ugh,
of that thing.
which is, relatable. Yeah, and then all of a sudden, this guy comes running up, and it's literally Ryan Reynolds with like a long wig on,
And
and he's like,
he
"Oh,
has
sorry,
golden. Yeah,
yeah,
he's
that's my
perfect. His
dog."
armor's nice and shiny, and
Yeah, oh
yeah,
yeah, oh
golden
yeah,
desert eagles. Yeah.
yeah. He's very pretty looking. He's got his golden guns, and then he's like, "Oh, Lady Pool's at home," and it's obviously Blake Lively or something, and he's like this perfect Deadpool. Um, and then he's like, "Why are you so nice?" And he's like, "I'm
Yeah.
Nice Pool." And it's like, "What?" And then he goes, "Who?" And then, "Who's this?" And then Deadpool says one of my favorite lines. He's like, "Oh, this is Wolverine. He's usually got his shirt off, but he's let himself go after the divorce." And of course, Hugh's been going through a divorce in real life. So I was like, "Fuck." So I thought that was super, super funny. And then, yeah, he wants this dog really badly, but he can't have the dog because it's this guy's dog. And then they're like, "Hey, do you know how to get to?" And then they give a location. I can't remember what the location is, but the guy's like, "Yeah, I do know how to get there. If you want, you can borrow my car." And the car is a fucking Honda Odyssey.
Yeah.
It's a Honda Odyssey, and it's not it's not an in shape Honda Odyssey
Well,
either.
it's a yeah,
And it's in the middle of a
because it doesn't
cornfield.
belong there. It's been pruned from some universe and sent there. Um,
And then Wolverine's like, "I'm not getting in that." They're both like, well, no, Deadpool's like, "I'm not getting in that." And then Wolverine's just like, "Get in the car." And then he's like, "No." And he's like, "Get in the fucking car." And so Wolverine drives the car. But I love it though because like before they leave, like Nice Pool puts the dog up to the window where Wolverine is sitting, and like, "Oh look," and Wolverine's like, "I don't give a fuck, get that away from me." So then they start driving, and they're playing one of my favorite Avril Lavigne songs, "Goes Very Hard," which is so funny because it's like two buff men in a car and they're playing Avril Lavigne.
so, if you want to get a bit about the comic books, I know I used to be big on my whole thing. I used to be obsessed with regeneration in characters. So I love the way Logan regenerates his healing powers, all that sort of stuff. And what I love about this movie is they're polar opposites, right? And we kind of touched on this a few minutes ago. That Logan's powers, Wolverine's powers, heals him, so he's always top tip. Um, of his physique is always perfect. Every bit of his organs, everything's perfect shape. Where Deadpool is the opposite. It heals all his worst parts. So his like all his cancer is always going. It just keeps regenerating his cancer cells. Everything that's bad. Like otherwise, if he had Logan's ones, his cancer would be cured. He would never get cancer. And that's what I like about the two characters. They're stuck in this kind of they're yin yang or black and white. They're polar opposites, but have the same. They're stuck in this where they both of them can't die, and they're watching the whole universe get torn apart. And it's what really dragged me into this movie because they're two of my favorite characters from the series, and I'm so glad that it didn't go down the same rabbit hole the other movies went. That's mostly all I have to really say. And when it comes to that end of things,
yeah, we're in the car, and then he's rambling because he's Deadpool, and then all of a sudden he goes, "If they can fix your universe," because that's the reason Wolverine joins Deadpool, as he says, like, the TVA is going to fix your universe if you help me.
Say,
But in reality, the TVA is going to do no such thing. So he goes,
if,
and Wolverine he goes straight onto the brake, swerves the car. He's like, "What the fuck do you mean if?" And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "You told me they could." And he's like, "I made an educated wish." An educated wish. That one got me.
Spoke about that actually. So the whole reason Logan's coming with Deadpool is because Deadpool's told Logan that basically if he comes with him, he will help him fix his universe and bring everyone back.
But at that point in the movie, though, we don't know what Logan's done in his universe. We don't know what happened, so that's all we know is that that's the reason they joined.
So that's the reason he joined, and and then basically he says if we can fix the universe, and then Logan kind of
Wolverine's like, "Wait a fucking minute." Yeah, so he's like, "Wait a fucking minute." So they sit in the middle of this, it's like a forest or something, and he's like, "What the fuck do you mean if?" And he's like, "An educated wish." And he's like, "An educated wish." And then Wolverine loses it, and not in the sense of like
he goes
attacking
him. He goes rough, like
no, he's like, "You are the most useless, childish person I've ever met. No wonder you can't hold down a fucking girlfriend. Even the X-Men don't want you, and they'll take anyone." And he just goes in on him, and Deadpool goes really, really quiet, and he's like, "What? Got nothing to say?" And then it just really quietly goes, "I'm gonna fight you now."
Yeah.
And then he goes, "Oh, are you really?" And then fast as fucking lightning, he punches him in the face, and it starts one of the best scenes I've seen in a while. This fight scene. First of all, I want to tell you, there's nothing heterosexual about this fight scene. There's nothing. There's so many sexual undertones to this. It's so funny. Like, it got me. Like, with the car bouncing, like, if it weren't for the blood, it would be completely different. And they go in on each other. Like, there's some people took screenshots of the film, like, while that fight was happening. And, like, there's a scene where, like, Deadpool's got his leg up over, like, Wolverine's, like, shoulder, and then there's another one where like Deadpool's like lounging in the back of the car and he does the come hither with his finger and Wolverine just goes straight through the windshield and lands right on top of him. Like, there's so many poses and that happen in this fight and very few of them are not gay. And then there's also the one where he gets the seatbelt and he tries to strangle Wolverine with the fucking seatbelt.
But it's so good.
And this scene was so good.
It was so good. It would have been able to actually do those scenes in such a cramped little car.
Oh yeah, the amount of effort that was put into that.
Nuts. To get the camera in and oh man, it's just crazy.
There's also the scene where like Deadpool's like on top of Wolverine and he's like proper like stabbing him and going at him, and then Wolverine's just smiling at him. And it's like this really feral smile, and like some of Deadpool's blood goes on his teeth and everything, and it's like insane. It's insane. This scene is it's great. It's such a good scene. It's such a good scene. And then when it pans down to like
they usually fight until they pass out, like there's no energy left on either of them.
So, yeah, they're fucking.
Yeah. So
they're fucking till sunup, and then the car, you can see the car moving, and it's like the little sticker on the bumper. The coexist sticker that obviously is from Nice Pool, and it's just got blood all over it. It's so good. It's so good, man.
Then it pans to like it's in the middle of the night, and then
no, it's just sun up, sun up. It's still dark.
And then basically, Wolverine's asleep on one side of the car, and then Deadpool's like covered. And
it looks like they're all. It actually looks like they're almost holding hands. As well, which I love.
Tied up. He's tied up using all the
covered in seatbelts. Yeah, he's covered in seatbelts.
The next of all, someone comes up and gets in the car and drives off, and with them two sleeping.
Yeah, you see her boot.
Yeah, so Yeah, and then you have
And
a
then
really cool scene. I do. So Deadpool.
we're
Yeah.
about to meet some of my favorite characters, including the coolest guy ever, and also the least cool but also coolest guy ever.
So
They're in a
yeah,
cave. They wake up in a
they're in
cave.
this like kind of little place, and next of all, who comes to first is
So wait, but Wolverine's drinking the liquor. That's
yeah,
important because Deadpool wakes up and Wolverine is already somewhere else, and Deadpool's
yeah,
like, "What the fuck?" And then Wolverine's like, "I don't know where we are, but I love this place," because he's like drinking like 3 bottles already of alcohol.
yeah.
And then all of a sudden, someone is about to come through the door. So Deadpool gets ready to fight, and it's Elektra.
Elektra, yeah, that's who comes in first.
Um,
The slow motion walk, it's so good.
so
Yeah,
cool. And the actress's Instagram, like the amount of preparation she did for this, because obviously she's older now. She's so cool, bro. She's so cool.
yeah,
The amount of dedication that goes into this. Like she was doing her little like flipping the little thing. What is it? Like they're like knives, but not really. They're mini tridents that she
yeah.
uses. She walks in first, yeah, and then Deadpool tries to like get her, but he doesn't, and then they kind of just look at each other.
Then straight after who comes in after her is Blade from the original Blade. Oh my god, I can't.
The drip on this man is immaculate. This guy's presence is so cool. Like this guy, maybe the best. That was the best for me because he's just so fucking cool, man.
Blade 1 and
Like,
2 were one of my favorite movies as a kid. I freaking love them, man.
He's so good,
Yeah.
bro. He's so good.
He's so cool.
And then like, he had the fit on, and he walks in all
Yep.
slow, and it's epic. And then who else but Gambit is behind him? Fucking Gambit. Channing Tatum is Gambit. It was insane. And the best part of Gambit, even though, by the way, Gambit looked really cool. Like, even Deadpool said that. Deadpool's like, it's like Hawkeye if he, like, you know.
No, they got him right. They got him perfect.
Like, he looked amazing. The only thing missing was the eyes, like the reddish eyes, but everything else was perfect. And then Gambit opens his fucking mouth, and it is maybe the best thing ever. And it's so funny as well, because Gambit is so, like, he's actually more offensive than Deadpool when he speaks. It's so funny. But yeah, he speaks, and Deadpool's like, sorry, one more time? And then Gambit speaks again, and he goes, "Who is your dialect coach? The fucking minions?" And I lost it at that. And then he looks at fucking Blade, and he's like, "I thought you were retired." And he looks back at him, and this is the moment that really got me. He looks back at him and goes, "Retarded?" He's like, "No, retired. I don't want to get cancelled again." Retarded. I was like, "Oh my god."
Oh man.
So yeah, they're all like, and they're like, "What happened to Johnny? We miss Johnny," and he's like, "Fuck."
Oh.
And then Wolverine,
Johnny, no.
Wolverine is like so funny in this scene, by the way, because everyone gets sad and then they get amped up. Meanwhile, Wolverine's in the corner and he's just like drinking. He doesn't give a fuck. And he's just kind of like, even Deadpool goes, "Read the room." And then Gambit is like, "You know, you're meant to ask before you drink another man's liquor." And Wolverine's like, "I don't give a fuck." And then Gambit just takes one of his cards and goes, "Shh," and the bottle explodes, and it's so cool. And then Wolverine just picks up a new one.
Another bottle.
Because he's Wolverine. And then he's like, "Yeah, I'm joining." And they're like, "What?" And then Deadpool's like, "I'll join your team." And they're like, "We didn't even bring you here." And they're like, "Who brought me here?" And then it's the girl. It's the girl. It's the little Mexican girl that swore at Logan. It's her. Yeah, or Laura, which she likes to be called. And she walks in, and she's so pretty. And I'm like, "Oh my god, it's her. I remember when you were tiny." And then
they did the whole thing with her before the movie came out. Like, she was asked lots of times, "Are you in this movie?" And she actually took I think she's friends with Andrew Garfield, and she took a page out of his book and was able to convince people that she was never actually going to be in this movie until the trailer came out. And people,
I like her a lot.
Time, I believed it too. For the longest time, I was like, "She's too old." Like, I was like, "Oh, no way."
But she's such an important part of this. She's not old. She's like 20.
No. But I mean, like, if you were going to take it from the timeline, but they did it perfectly. They aged her.
No, they did it really well. Yeah, so that was a big surprise for me.
Honestly, like, if they're not going to bring Logan back, like Wolverine back, I'd happily take her as the new Logan.
Me too.
Wolverine.
Because as Deadpool says, because earlier on, I think it's while they're in the car actually, Wolverine's like, "What happened to the other me?" And he's like, "Well, my version of you died saving a girl." And he's like, "What girl?" And he's like, "She was like you, she was a mutant, but she was actually meaner than you," which I really liked. Yeah. He's like, "Somehow she was meaner than you, but she had similar abilities and stuff." And he was like, "Oh, cool, you know." and but you didn't really. You could tell he was kind of like whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And then she walks in. And she's like, "Don't make me regret it," and it's so epic because I feel like she just has such a connection to any Logan. Any Logan, there's just such a
Yeah.
connection there, and it came through almost immediately. Like even the way they look at each other, like it was like this vibe. It was really, and I really liked her role in it all, even though she wasn't there for a long time. She was so
Yeah.
impactful. Like,
I
so they're
love
all,
her. I was hoping to see
yeah,
more for her.
same,
That's
same, because she's so
yeah.
cool and like the actress is super talented. She trains really hard for these sorts of roles, and yeah, very impressive. So I was really happy to see her. And then yeah, they kind of agreed to be a team, and they're like, "Oh, you got into Cassandra's, Ant-Man palace," and they're like, "Yeah, we got out." And they're like, "How? No one gets out." And they're like, "Well, we did, but we need to get back in there because she knows how to take us home." So they talk with each other, and they're like, "How do we do that?" And then they're like, "Oh, Juggernaut's got the helmet, the helmet that can be put on either Charles or Cassandra to
Because
stop their abilities."
Juggernaut is a relation to. Is he related to Charles or is he related to Magneto? And one way
I
I
can't
know
remember. I think it's Magneto. I can't remember.
yeah, I think he's like the cousin or he's relation to one of them two. And I
Yeah,
think Magneto gave him the helmet to block out, because if you wear that helmet, psychic powers can't penetrate it, right? So
yeah, but it also means you can't use them.
yeah, exactly. So if you got like Magneto's
Um,
helmet and put it on her, it
because
blocked the powers.
because they were like, "Oh, because Deadpool was like, you guys got a Magneto, that would be epic." And he's like, "No, he died." Blade just goes, "No, he died." And he's like, "Fuck." It's so funny. Damn it. So yeah, they're like, "Oh, okay, we need to get that helmet. That's what we need to do." So they all decide that, and then it's pans to Logan sitting at a fire, like a campfire, and he looks super sad. He looks so depressed, and he's just drinking. And then Laura shows up, and he's like, "I don't need
Yeah.
company." Blah blah blah, and she just sits there anyway because she's used to Logan. She's used to him. She knows what he's like, so she's like, Um, but I really enjoyed this scene because like they could have made it Deadpool and it wouldn't have worked. I really like the
No.
fact they did that. Like, it's a scene where it's just Logan and it's just her, and I really enjoyed that. And she sits and she's like, she talks about her Logan for a bit, and she's like, "Because of you, I was able to grow up. I wouldn't be here if it weren't for you. Um, and you're a hero whether you think it or not." So, but you can tell he doesn't really believe her, but he thinks about it for a bit, and then he suddenly opens up and talks about why he's the worst Logan, but it's only to her, which I also thought was very nice, because it makes sense. And she's like, "You don't have to tell me." And he's like, "No, let me say it." And then he starts talking about how he refused to wear the outfit, he refused to help them, and then one day when he was too busy in a bar, the humans came, is what he says, and then the mutants were all killed. And then when he found them, he went so crazy that you didn't only kill the people that killed the mutants, but you also killed people that came to help. And that's how he came.
Yeah, innocent people. He just butchered everything.
He went feral. He just couldn't deal with it, and that's why he's kind of shunned in his universe. And it's something I don't think he was ever able to get over, even the slightest. And that's why he wears the outfit. He said that to her. He says, because
Yeah.
it's the only thing I've got to remind me of what I did. And then she's like, "We're not going to pull this off without you." And it's true. Like, they wouldn't if he wasn't there. And he's like, "Yeah, but I'm not coming."
Yeah.
This line was so iconic. She starts to walk away, and he goes, "I don't know who you think I am, but I'm not that guy." And then she looks back, and it's the most iconic fucking line in the whole movie. She goes, "You were never the right guy."
Exactly. It's so good.
Oh, so I got goosebumps, bro. The whole cinema was so quiet because the thing is, I went to see this in cinema, and literally there was so many laughter moments and so many like shock moments. But during this scene, it was silent because I think it hit everyone at the exact same time when she said that. But yeah, she looks over her shoulder and just goes, "You were never the right guy," and then she just walks away, and it's like, wow, because he was never the right guy, but he somehow was, He never was the right guy. He was never, what you would imagine a hero to be. He never was.
No.
But he always was. Like, without... yeah, that hit so fucking hard, bro. Slapped. Whoever wrote that line in deserves, I don't know, a great night. It's so good. It was so good. And her delivery of it as well was so nice. Because, like, she's very grown up, but she still seems like a kid around him. It's weird. It's like this vulnerability through the screen, in my opinion. It was almost like, she diverts back almost, which I really enjoyed. It was just very moving. It was very moving, very vulnerable moment.
Okay.
And then she leaves and you're like, "Oh my god, is he not going to help them?"
Yeah.
Like,
This movie is kind of like it's always kind of a jokey kind of, it's not always serious, and then it's nice like a movie like this can do serious moments and do the jokey stuff on top of that and the action also. So
It's like I said, it's the
yeah,
perfect amount for
so
me.
balanced and well written.
For someone like me who is very, very easy to cry, which puts me off a lot of films and a lot of media, it's the perfect line because that I almost cried. So that's my first time almost crying. And then it's kind of like it goes back to them getting ready for.
And it's a nice little callback, but it was a nice callback to the actual Logan movie itself, where
oh yeah,
like that was my like I said, Wolverine was always one of my favorite characters, and
same.
Like that Logan movie is probably one of my favorites. There's bits in that movie we could probably talk about another time. There's bits in that movie I do not like, and I love it, and bits I really love. But yeah,
I just love the scene where they're like in the vehicle, and then she's trying to show him the map, and she's just swearing at him in Spanish. That one's so fucking, and he's like, "I don't shut the fuck up! I don't know what you're saying." So good.
So then,
but yeah. So then we see them in the Honda Odyssey.
Yeah, we see
they're in the Honda.
Who's driving it again? Is it the driver?
Elektra's always driving.
And then you got I think Deadpool's
in the back
front,
is,
and then
Deadpool's in the front, and then there's Gambit, Blade in the middle, and
then you got
what's
Deadpool
her name?
and
Laura.
Yeah.
So they're all on their way. There's a scene where it's like Cassandra and she's looking over them, and it's so fucking funny because it's like they're all like super scary looking, and then all of a sudden there's a Honda Odyssey on its way. And it's like a beat up Honda Odyssey as well because they fought in it. So it's like, it's fucked up. And it gets me every time just seeing that, like, because it's like such an intense moment because they're on their way to get there, and then Blade's like, "Give me the gun." Yeah. And it's so badass when Blade just he stands up in the car through the fucking sunroof and he holds this giant fucking what would you even describe it as? Grenade launcher?
No, it's a rocket launcher. Like it shoots a missile. Like.
Oh yeah, and then they're like, "Oh, who did it belong to? I can't remember."
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
Oh, it was Punishers. It was Punishers.
Punisher, yeah.
Because they talk a bit about Daredevil and stuff like that he died and stuff.
Yeah, and then they're like, "Sorry, Elektra," and she's like, "Yeah."
Elektra's Daredevil died. Who Ben Affleck played her.
Very sad, very sad.
The Juggernaut they're gonna kill is Vinnie Jones, the Juggernaut too, which is so funny. He's like,
I still can't get over Channing Tatum as Gambit, bro. Yeah. Like what was it he said? He said some fucked up shit. He was like, "Oh yeah," Deadpool goes, "Are you guys ready?" And he goes, "I don't know, because this Gambit, like, because he's never had a film, like, the way they speak, he's like, I don't know when I got here, if I was born in the void." And that's a kind of a reference to that. And then when they say, "Are you ready?" He was like, "I probably shot him my daddy's dick ready." It feels like, oh my god. And then he says something fucked up. And he's like, "When I came out of the womb, I bet I was like, 'What's up, Doc?'" I was like, oh my god. Yeah. My dad started laughing so hard at that part. But man. Deadpool just could not handle Gambit, bro. It was so funny. And then in the car, Gambit says something, and then he's like, "I can translate it." He's saying, get Juggernaut's helmet, and then, put it on Cassandra. It was so funny. So yeah, they roll up, and it's so badass. This Honda Odyssey, like, Blade shoots the hands, thing, and the whole basically the hands open.
Yeah, the door to Cassandra's base.
The door is Ant-Man's hands,
and they blow it up and they fly.
Yeah, so they start to open, and there's fire everywhere because of what Blade used, and the Honda Odyssey just rolls right through the flames. And then Elektra does a swerve on the car, and they like drift to a stop, and it's so badass. And they all like the music
slow motion
becomes epic, and they all get out of the car. All slow motion. They all get out of the car, and they're standing there, and they're so epic. But you feel like something is definitely missing, and then all of a sudden, in this moment, bro, everyone in the cinema went. Everyone was like yelling. It was so funny. All of a sudden, the boot opens. Laura looks to the boot, and she's like, "What?" And then Wolverine was in the boot. Fucking Wolverine.
Yep.
It's such a Logan thing to do. Like, rather than tell them he's going to help them, he sneaks in the fucking boot. Like, what? It's so funny. And then he stands beside them.
One of my favorite parts is when Laura, and she just takes out this pair of glasses and puts them on, and it's the glasses from the movie.
Yeah, the glasses! Yeah, the glasses, the pink fucking spotted glasses. She just brings them out and like she's ready to go beast mode because she put them on. It's so epic. I literally in the cinema I looked at Alex. I was watching with Alex and I was like, she's so cool.
She stole them in the Logan movie from the gas station. Oh, it's so good.
Iconic.
I love it.
Yeah, she's so iconic. I loved that. And then they all start fighting, and I have to say, all of the characters shined in this moment. But I have to say, like, Gambit especially shined for me in the fighting scenes.
I was watching some videos
like, I have to say, the amount of
training
the amount of effort he put into that role.
You see the video, and he's like spinning the freaking stick around, and he's doing all the flips and stuff.
Yeah, I saw it on Instagram. I have to say, like, they really sold Gambit for me in this film, like, for sure.
Yeah.
Like, the cards flying around, and then when he just stands still, and all of a sudden he gets them to, like, explode. And some of the movements he was doing on the ground, and then when there was a point later on where it seemed like he was struggling, and then he's like, you shouldn't have done that, and he gets out his stick and just fucking destroys this guy with it. It's, like, so badass, and everything's, like, neon purple. He was so badass in this. Like, I really, really liked him in the fight scenes. I couldn't draw my eyes away from him. Like, he was so cool.
It shows, like...
Blade too, of course. But that's just Blade.
Blade is awesome.
Blade doesn't have to try and look cool. He's just cool.
Like, people forget that Blade's a Marvel character. That's always, like... For the longest time, I knew he was, because I used to watch the old Spider-Man.
He's not appreciated
the old
enough.
Spider-Man cartoons and stuff like that. Like, and he showed up in a few of them and stuff like that. And, like, the Punisher and stuff like that. People don't realize a lot of characters. Because when the Blade...
I think people think of Marvel as, like, cartoony, hero-y, bright colors, like... And then Blade is just, like, all black, and it's a badass black guy. You know? It's, like, very, like, juxtaposition. Like, it's very... But that's why he's so cool. So that's why in that scene where everyone's wearing weird shit and bright colors, like, there's just Blade looking fucking badass. Like, he just stepped out the Matrix. Like, he's so cool looking. So he could just sit there. He doesn't have to do nothing. Like, Gambit, like, is cool looking as well. I must say they got his look really good. He did look epic. But yeah, just like Blade, like in any room, he just stands out. We
forgot a part of, when they're driving in the car in the hot he's like, he says something, Blade's like, it's only going to ever be one Blade. Or something like that.
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah, they were like, yeah, because Deadpool's like, oh, I can't believe you're here, and he's like, yeah, there's only ever gonna be one Blade.
The thing is, they already assigned like the new Blade movies to a different actor, like, so that's why that was the whole thing, like, making fun of. That's hilarious. Like, that cracked me up. And then we get into this. Cassandra comes out.
Well, Cassandra doesn't come out. Cassandra just kind of she like peeks out and then she goes back in when she's got like a cup of tea in her hand, and it's very like, oh, okay. So it's Gambit, Elektra, Laura, and Blade that are holding the front basically, and it's Wolverine and Deadpool's job to get up to the top where Cassandra's at. But it's I like how it was Laura's job to get the helmet. Like, I noticed that because like you kind of look at when I was watching them fight, they've all got like a job. And they've all got different enemies they try and go for. Like, Blade at first was like melee, and then all of a sudden he started going for the shooters. And I don't know if you remember that scene, but there's a scene where he gets shot by one of the snipers, and he just turns to the sniper, and it's the most badass fucking moment ever, and he just one-taps them. And I was like, damn, it's Blade! Oh, he's so cool! Yeah, I felt like a fangirl. I was just like, everyone else is fangirling over Wolverine and Deadpool, and I'm over here like, oh my god, it's Blade!
Yeah, and Channing Tatum just being... The fact that they...
Yeah. Channing Tatum being he was so epic, man. He was so good in that.
Like, back in the early 2000s, they wouldn't do these characters. That's what, like, they wouldn't do the real Deadpool. They wouldn't.
Well, the thing is, they were gonna do a Gambit movie, and it fell through. I'm pretty sure.
They just kept pulling off. Yeah,
but there was always talks about it.
The show, what the show is, look, these characters will work with the right writing and the right, the right circumstances.
That's why I love it. Ryan went, you know what? Because like it was Ryan's reason. The reason they were there is mainly because of Ryan. And then Ryan was like, I want the original Blade.
Yeah.
I want the OG Elektra. I want, and it was just like, it was so good, man. And then but I do like how Laura, her job was getting the thing from Juggernaut, which you would think that was the hardest thing, but just because she's a mini Wolverine. It's like she's badass.
Oh, yeah.
Like she's capable a lot more than you'd think. So she manages to get it off him. And I think, I like the part where she's like climbing up to give it to them, but someone like gets her with like a rope or something, like a magical rope, and she gets pulled back down. But before getting pulled back down, she like throws it, and it manages to land in where Deadpool and Wolverine are. And they're just fighting outside while that's happening.
Yeah. So yeah, the whole lore thing.
I'll let you talk. I'll let you talk about this up until the point where Cassandra gets in Wolverine's head, because I've got something to say about that. But you can talk about it up till then.
Well, just before I really delve into that, there's one character we haven't really talked about that's in it, and he's kind of like a mole in there. Like he's kind of helping the TVA.
Oh yeah.
He's from the actual original X-Men movies. He's the guy that can control fire. So when Johnny Storm, the Torch, is Johnny Storm his name?
I can't remember his. Yeah, it's something like that. I do like the scene where he's on the phone with Paradox, because he's like,
because
he's two timing them, because he works for Cassandra, but he also works for Paradox, and then he's on the phone, and then he's saying
he
like,
could get back out into the real world if he held some. So
the real world, yeah, and then Paradox is like, I hate when you talk like that. It's so icky. So funny. I loved that.
And Cassandra's powers work a little different to, say, Xavier's would. Where Xavier could just read your mind, and know where Cassandra needs to actually touch your head, to get into your mind.
Yeah, so, that's one thing I found interesting.
So she's slightly different in that sense. So you can think things, and that's why she didn't know what he was doing in the background. That he was like working as a mole.
She needs to touch him.
So we'll get to that. So I just wanted, because he's going to play a part now in a few minutes. So this character, he is from the original, and it's the original actor and everything. That's so good. He's a lot older, obviously, and stuff like that, but it's still him. That's what I really like. So yeah, then they get up to they're in the skull, and they're trying to get to Cassandra with the they're trying to just talk to her or whatever. But she doesn't want anything to do with Deadpool. She literally just freaking shoots him up to the ceiling, I think, and he's squashed up there or whatever. Yeah, and then
and he passes out. And then Wolverine's like, "What the fuck?" So Wolverine tries to attack her, and she puts Wolverine's claws.
First, she makes him stab himself, and then she makes him stab the ground. And then she just literally puts her finger right into through his head, and it's like,
yeah, she's like, "Let's see what's going on in here." And then she puts her fingers in, and she puts one finger at first right into the forehead. And immediately you can tell Logan's in pain. But I have to say, this moment really got me, because she goes into like Logan's mind, like his mind palace or whatever, and it's literally just an empty field with columns. And it's like you can hear people shouting in the distance.
Those columns are
like screaming for him.
The columns are supposed to represent all the graves of all the people that have died.
Yeah, I think so. And then it's like a very, like, the color changes on the screen. It's a very, like, demure, kind of depressing looking thing. And she's like, that's not what I expected. And she kind of starts to try and gaslight him, which is, so he kind of gets sad, and he falls to his knees, and she's like, you could mean something here. And she goes, the voices that are annoying you, I can make them stop. And I'm telling you, bro, in the cinema, when she like clicks her fingers and everything stops, like there's no sound. Yep. That was eerie when that happened. I got goosebumps when that happened. And he does like a sigh of relief. And she's like trying to like comfort him, but like it really made me feel uncomfortable the way she was talking to him. Like it was very like sickly, and you could just, the actress did a really good job. Yeah. I will actor. I know they prefer they them pronouns, but they did a really good job, because it was like she was trying to comfort him, but then it was like you could tell it wasn't genuine. And it was very, like, kind of manipulative, and I really didn't. I was like, get your hands off him! Like, she kneels beside him in his mind palace, and she puts her hand on his shoulder, and she's like, I've got you. And then all of a sudden, like, Logan just turns to her and goes, I've got you.
Yep.
And then, boom, we're back in the real world, and they put fucking the helmet on her head, and Deadpool's there with his hand around her neck.
They actually fight over it, killing her, too. He's like, I could
They do, but I think they do that mainly, though, to kind of scare her.
Yeah.
I did really enjoy the fact that, like, even the weakest Logan, supposedly, in terms of, like, mental state, is still able to, he tanked that.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I think people don't talk about that enough. Like, Logan fucking tanked that, bro. Like, did you see, like she was in Deadpool's mind for, like, a second, and he was, like, shaking all over and like, oh, like, whereas Logan just sat and took it, and then immediately was able to do that. So I thought that was very cool.
Logan's mental state, the fact that he's lived for over 200 odd years, he's lived through wars, and all these voices. I think he's just accustomed to it, like, and
that's why it was so badass, though. I was very nice.
That's why I think
touch,
that's what I mean. Like, he's like, he knew he could handle that, like, and the sigh of relief was probably like, finally he can take a bit of a breather. But I think he needs the
But it wasn't
voices
real.
in it.
Yeah.
But I think he needs those voices in his head to keep him going,
To
because that's
remind
what
him.
fuels him,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what fuels him. That's what
Same with
makes
the
him
suit.
be who he is. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Um,
I really like that scene too. Yeah. So then, yeah, they put a helmet on her. They're holding her up and they're trying to convince her to, show them how to get back to their own, universe. But then the guy we literally introduced, fire guy, he walks up, something flame or something. But he's the main.
Flame.
Yeah, he's
The one that's two
he is the
timing. He
bad
shows
guy.
up with a gun.
He shows up with a gun. And he literally puts 3 rounds into her stomach, and he basically just tells her like, "Look, I wanted to kill you for so long. I'm sick and tired of all this." Like, yeah.
Because he tries to do a fucking monologue, and it's like, he's
Yeah.
like, and then all of a sudden Wolverine just, like, makes him pass out, and he's like,
Yeah.
not everyone gets a fucking monologue. And I was like, I loved that. Because I was like, I don't really give a shit about this guy. I feel like people
Yeah.
who know him probably do, but I didn't know him. So I was like, I don't
That
really
was
care what
great.
he has to say. And then Wolverine went, I got you. Just made him pass out. It was so cool.
So now they have to make a choice. Like, she's literally dying now. If they take the helmet off, she can just literally heal herself like immediately,
Yeah.
and kill them.
And this is the second moment. This is the second moment I almost cried in this. Well, but when I say almost cried, I mean there were tears in my eyes, but they didn't fall. All right, guys. So technically, I was crying. But this brings the second part, because it becomes, as Elder said, it's funny because they're like back and forth, like, let me kill her, no, I'll kill her, blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden, Logan just looks at her and goes, take the helmet off.
Yeah.
And then Deadpool's like, what? And he's like, take the helmet off. And then he gets quite angry with him, and he's like, take the fucking helmet off.
Because
and then Deadpool's like, oh. So she takes the helmet off really slowly.
First he talks about saying Charles would not want you to die.
Charles would not let me stand here and do this to you. And then he's like, if Charles knew who you were and where you were, he would have tore apart the universe to find you.
Yeah.
And he would have loved you because he loved all of us. And that, bro, I started getting a bit emotional. I was like, oh my god. And then he was like, I wear this to remind me, because I'm an X-Man, and I'm part of the X-Men. And as while I'm wearing this, I need to try and be who Charles thought I was.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh my god. I'm like, I can't fucking do this, bro. I need a cigarette. I can't listen to this shit, bro. And then the helmet comes off.
She does.
And then
she helps. She's
everyone expects Cassandra, but the thing is, you think that Cassandra's doing it because she's like, oh.
She honestly.
What was it she said? The minute you take this helmet off, I'm gonna flick my bean to the box set or something. I was like, what? My dad laughed so hard at that line. I was like, oh my god.
All about that line. Jeez.
Yeah, because that's like the first funny shit she says. Like, she was mainly serious all this time, and then she says something, and it was so outlandish. It was so funny.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And then Deadpool's like, why are you like this? And she's like, I wish I knew. And I actually liked her in that moment, because I was like, she's so fucking funny.
We have a different theory then, that I don't think she wanted, I think she liked.
Oh, well, no, you reminded me now. I think she was fine with him until that guy woke up.
She talked about earlier.
And then she was like, tell me everything.
Yeah, because she talked about earlier that this is her land, like this place where she can be herself. She can literally tear people. Like, if she was in the real world, shunned and hated, and she wouldn't be allowed to use her full powers to the full max that she does here in this kind of land.
Yeah.
So that's why she likes it being there.
Yeah.
Where then so basically she gives them what's his name? Dr. Strange's portal ring.
Yeah, she's like, oh, there was let me tell you a story quickly. There was a wizard who came through here. I killed him and wore his skin for a few days, but he had this really interesting ring. And then all of a sudden she makes the portal, and Deadpool's like, oh my god, it's the Marvel Circle.
Yeah. So then they have to jump through it before Goliath shows up, and they die.
Goliath's coming, yeah, and that stressed me out, bro. And that's the third time I almost cried. Because the insinuation of, like, because they're jumping, right? So Deadpool's like, race you, and they're jumping to the portal, but then you still see the people below fighting.
Yeah.
So you still see Elektra and Gambit and Blade and Laura fighting these people, and for a while it seems as though they're struggling, but then they kind of pick it back up again. But there's no, and that's the thing, until the very end, there's no sign that they survived.
Yeah, you think they're dead.
Because that's what Gambit said, because Gambit's like, because Wolverine's like, I don't think you guys are going to, be alive after this. And then Gambit's like, just make sure people remember us.
Yep.
because we never got our chance.
Exactly.
You know, and that hit me, bro. That hit me. So when they were going through the portal, and those people were, especially fucking little Laura, who's always going to be a little girl to me, that made me so emo. And like they all look up at the portal and smile.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh my god, oh my god. But they make it through, because the thing is as well, that's another thing. You don't know if they're going to make it through, because Goliath's like already on them when they get near the portal.
But before we go,
so that was stressful.
Before we talk about when they actually go through the portal, though, she brings back up the guy that shot her, that shot Cassandra, and he's been betraying her.
Yeah, she's like, why did you do this, and who are you working for? And
then like, no, you don't have to touch my freaking head. He's like,
yeah, I love that scene. He's like, bro, can you fucking talk for once? Like, what's with you people?
Like, just ask.
And she's like, okay, hands in the pockets. And she's like, and he's like, okay. It was the TVA, and then she was like, the TVA, I thought I dealt with him. And he's like, well, it's not really a TVA, it's Paradox.
Yeah.
And she went, oh.
Because they made a deal,
and
right?
Then that's when
they'll leave her alone in that, and then because he's been kind of messing around, she's like, okay, and then she decides to go,
Paradox is dumb.
To follow up and take on Paradox then too, and kind of mess with his plans and stuff, which kind of makes
so we see they go through the portal and they're in like a random street, right?
No, they fall through the sky. They fall in where he sells cars.
No, they fall down on the fucking Kia.
Yeah,
I remember, because Peter's like, and then we've got this, and then they fall down, and then the kid's like, oh my god, it's fucking Deadpool. And then Wolverine, and then Deadpool just goes, this feels like a Kia.
And then he's like, it's Wolverine. We're gonna keep him till he's 90. This is gonna keep.
Yeah, we used to be Fox got rid of him, but then Disney bought him. He's gonna do it. We're gonna make him do this till he's 90. That's so funny. It's like, oh my god, bro.
And then Peter's there, and he's delighted.
Yeah, Peter's like, oh my god, yay! Yeah, that was so good. I loved that part. Where he's just like, this feels like a fucking Kia.
So earlier on when his thing was in the Deadpool was in the TVA, they spoke about their like base of operations was in the subway across the street from Deadpool's house, so they know where to go. So they literally make their way back to where Deadpool's street is, where his apartment is, and so that's where they go off then, and then they're about to head down to the.
And it's near where the TVA base is, and then the guy comes out and he's like, "It's already too late."
Yeah.
You're too late.
And then Cassandra shows up.
And they're like, what? And then all of a sudden, no, Cassandra doesn't show up. It's the guy that shoots her. Like, his body is through the portal. And then he's like, Paradox, we have a problem. And then all of a sudden, Cassandra breaks his neck. And then she goes through the portal. Which I thought was very creepy. I was like, oh.
And then she's like, her head's all over.
She starts mind-fucking Paradox. And then she looks at Wolverine and Deadpool, are like, shoo away now, Mummy and Daddy are talking. And so she learns everything that was going on, and then she learns about the mind machine. So she drags. Oh, and this one creeped me out when she drags him by her hand, and it's like she's got her hand in his head, and his body's like limp. Oh, that was creepy.
It's coming out of his nose. And
so
his
gross. And then she forces him to teach her how to use the machine that they use to destroy timelines. And she says that she's gonna, like, before she was gonna let them live. But after finding out what was happening, she's going to destroy every single timeline, so only the void remains, which is obviously a problem. So she drags his body in, and then Wolverine and Deadpool are like, okay, we need to go after them. And then all of a sudden, something comes through the portal, and it's this dog pool. And then all of a sudden, the music starts playing again. He's like, oh my god, it's dog pool. And you have like this moment where it's like licking his mouth, and it's so gross. And then all of a sudden, you hear, sorry about that! And it's like, no! Fucking Nice Pool. Nice Pool comes running in after for the dog. And he's like, no, I'm not giving you this fucking dog. And then all of a sudden, all the Wolverines, not all the Wolverines, oh god, we'd be fucked if that happened. All the Deadpool showed up. Imagine if all the Wolverines showed up. That would just be the end, wouldn't it? All the Deadpool show up.
Yeah.
And the main Deadpool that shows up from the portal is Blake Lively dressed as Woman Pool, which I thought was really cool. Lady Pool, yeah, which I thought was really cool.
And she has two Uzis, which is her signature weapons.
Yeah, and then there's also like I loved seeing all the different Deadpools. Like there was a Scottish one that was wearing a fucking kilt. There was like a Japanese one. Yeah, it was so many. It was so funny.
And do you know who was playing the cowboy one?
No, but he was. Is it
Cowboy Pool?
Who?
Matthew McConaughey.
I was about to. Bro, I heard about that online. I thought it was fake.
No,
bro,
it's Matthew McConaughey that played.
I loved the look of Cowboy Deadpool. I thought that he was so fucking cool.
I thought the samurai one was really cool too.
Oh, he was
I really
cool
liked
too.
That one too. Yeah.
But yeah,
Some of them just really suit.
and then the scene. This is okay. You guys are gonna hate me for this. This was the fourth scene that almost made me cry because I felt bad for Nice Pool, like when he was holding his body, and then he was
You
like,
regenerate, right?
yeah, and then Wolverine went, for fuck's
Basically,
sake, because Nice Pool doesn't regenerate, and they held.
so
he
basically,
held
what
his
happened is
body.
they all open up fire, and Deadpool
Deadpool
grabs onto
grabs
Nice
Nice
Pool
Pool
and
and puts him in front of
uses
him.
him
A
as a
human
shield, and then he's
shield.
like, and then he's
Get,
like, oh, maybe get over to the hot dog stand because that does healing devices in the hot dog
and
stand.
then Wolverine's in the back like, no, it
Trigger.
doesn't. And
Yeah.
then, so yeah, and then he gets him again, and then he stares at him and he goes, "You're gonna live." And he's like, "What?" And he's like, "Say it with me, you're gonna live." And bro, it made
I'm
me
gonna.
sad, bro. It made me sad. He was so nice
And
and
then his head,
happy, and then his head comes off.
yeah,
So then
yeah,
so
and
then
he's there.
Deadpool quickly runs to the other side, and then my second favorite scene in this whole movie happens, where Wolverine just slowly picks up the dog and then stands up with the dog, and everyone's like, "Hold your
They all stop.
fire!" What a sweet little puppy. And then he walks like it's like Wolverine looking badass, walking slowly with this dog. It's so good. And then he gets to the other side, and then he's like, "Go on, doggy. You don't want to see this." I'm like, "No, you don't. You really don't." And then Deadpool's
Nice
doing
Pool just on the ground,
CPR
like, yeah.
on the body that has no head, and I'm like, bruh.
And just blood's like pumping out of all the bullet holes in it. But Deadpool then takes his two guns.
Yeah. I think he was waiting a while for that. He wanted his guns and he wanted his dog, and he got both of them. So he was in a great mood. The minute Wolverine started walking with the dog, my tears they dried because that was so funny. So I was good again.
We're
So, yeah, and
coming up
that's
to
why
one of my favorite scenes, though, in a second.
So like it helps you, bro. If you get sad, it's like it knows you're getting sad, and it's like, here you go. Here's a funny bit.
Then I think Deadpool thinks then because Nice Pool didn't have a healing power.
But none of them do, and it's only him.
So him and Wolverine are like, okay, let's do this, and they kind of
Deadpool's like, "Are you okay doing this?" And Wolverine goes, "I get to kill 100 yous." Yeah, of course I'm okay with it. I was like, yeah, this is Wolverine's wet dream, getting to kill 100 Deadpools.
And to get ready, Deadpool has his golden guns now. He's delighted, and Wolverine pulls
Full effort.
Wolverine pulls up this freaking mask.
Oh my god, I forgot about that. Where he's they're like stanced, and it's like so cool. And then all of a sudden, he puts his hands up, and it's like, what is he gonna do? And then he slowly pulls down the Wolverine mask, and then Deadpool is like, all of the audience, like Deadpool reacts the exact same way. He just looks at me, he's like, "Holy shit, dude! Are you only keeping this for special occasion?" And it was so badass looking. Epic. I loved it. I loved it. It was so epic. It's
cartoon comic book perfection.
So cool.
I love it.
So cool. And then he takes his what do you call them, claws out.
Yeah.
And then they start going to town on the Deadpools. And it's funny because there's a moment during the fight where Deadpool struggles. Yeah. And Wolverine never at any point struggles. No. I love it. Like, Wolverine is just going for them. Like, he is absolutely like when he's in the bus.
Yeah, Deadpool falls.
And
he's
just
window.
like, there's a Deadpool that falls on the back of the Well, at first he falls to the back of the seat, and he's like, no, and then he tries to shoot, and then the hand comes out of his gun, and then Wolverine just decimates him, and there's blood all over the windows. It's so funny.
And Deadpool's all annoyed at himself because he doesn't stick the landing when he jumps out the window.
Oh yeah. So then after they kill that guy, they jump out the back of the bus, and it's like so cinematic, like it's so badass. They're both like midair doing the poses, and it looks so cool. And then Wolverine lands it perfectly, and then Deadpool fucking flounders on the floor, and he's like, "Fuck!" So all anyone's gonna remember is the fact that I didn't fucking land it. And then Wolverine doesn't give a fuck. Wolverine's already on to the next thing.
Then
they're like, "Fine."
Butcher all the Deadpools up, and then
everyone's dead, and they're like, "Finally, we can go kill
Cassandra,
and then all of a sudden
turn around and they're all just regenerating again. Some of them have tiny baby limbs.
Yeah, they're all getting up, and they're like, "Fuck!" And then all of a sudden, from afar, you hear a bike.
Yeah, bell.
It's a normal bicycle coming.
And it Deadpools.
They're like, "Stop!" And then we're like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And you can tell the suit he's wearing doesn't fit him. He gets off the bike and he's like, "This guy's with me.
Yeah.
This is my Deadpool." And everyone's like, "Peter?"
And so then they just like, okay.
They all start
because he has a Peter.
Peter, and they all start like lifting him up and everything, and they're hype, and they're like, "Oh my god!" And then, so Deadpool and Wolverine are really confused, and they start running to get into the building where Cassandra is, and they're like, "Yeah, enjoy my Peter." So that was very funny. Enjoy my Peter. So yeah, they get in, and we're coming up to one of the last moments I cried almost.
I think I know what moment you're
But yeah,
talking about.
I'll let you talk about it until we get to the bit.
Okay, so they go down the stairs in the subway and they meet up with Paradox. And basically Paradox is like, there's nothing you can do. She's already down there taking control. There's literally only one way. There's only one way to finish this is to basically to short circuit it by bridging two connections. But if you were to do it
underground,
it would destroy, even with their healing factor, it would destroy them because it's your particles, so it'll destroy you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
It's the cool. You get two dipping sauce. One of them's like blue, and then one of them's like yellow. That's the Cool Ranch and the mustard. Those two forces are working, antimatter and matter. So even if you're like Wolverine, you're gonna die if you hold both of them and cause them to rupture against each other.
That was the oddest analogy I've ever heard, but I like it. We'll go.
Thank you. So we need to stop the Cool Ranch and the mustard from, we need to stop because Cassandra's got the giant Dorito chip, and she wants to dunk it in both the Cool Ranch and the mustard at the same time, and you can't do that. You can't let Cassandra do that.
What will happen if she gets control of this though? She'd be able to control like timelines.
The Time Ripper.
She would like this thing called the Time Ripper. But basically, if she does get that kind of control, she could like write her own basically timeline and create whatever she wanted with it of all timelines.
She'd be too OP.
So they have to obviously stop that. So they go down to this basement area.
But Paradox is like, there's only one way. There's only one way, and one of you's gonna have to die. So and it's like, oh.
They gotta basically break open these wires and grab onto them. So it's gonna be me. No, it's gotta be me. And Wolverine's like, I've already lost everyone. It has to be me. Like the whole.
Yeah, that one hurts me, bro. When he looks in his eyes and he goes, I have nothing.
He's like,
and then like Deadpool, and then Wolverine like holds up the photo that Deadpool's had since the start. Of all of them together as birthday. Yeah. He's like, you've got to do it. You got to stay here for them.
You have them. Like,
I have nothing, bro. That hurt me because I was like, that's not true. You have stuff. Don't say that. So yeah, I got really sad. And then Deadpool's like, yeah, okay. You're right. And then Wolverine looks at him and goes, say hi to them for me. And then just as he's about to go in the door, of course Deadpool fakes him out, and then all of a sudden it's Deadpool inside and then Wolverine on the back. And just as I was about to cry, that made me laugh, so that saved me. And then Deadpool starts doing stupid shit, like he starts pretending he's swimming or he's going downstairs, and it's like, bro, the world's about to end and he's doing this. And then Wolverine's like, no, it should have been me. And then Deadpool's like, sorry. Deadpool runs and he takes hold of the which color is it? I think he takes hold of the Cool Ranch.
The blue, yeah.
Yeah, he takes hold. Yeah, the Cool Ranch. He's got the Cool Ranch in one hand, and he's pulling it to try and reach the mustard on the other side. Yeah, so but he's not strong enough. He's trying so hard, but he's pulling it. But they're running out of time, and Paradox is looking at it, and he's like, "They're not going to make it. He's not going to make it. We're dead, And then you hear Wolverine yelling, and he's like punching the wall, and the metal's denting, and he's calling him all sorts of names. And Deadpool's trying so hard, and then all of a sudden he starts thinking about everyone, and he's like, I have to do it for them, And then all of a sudden, just when you think everything's about to explode, and I was close to crying again, Wolverine shows up out of nowhere and holds Deadpool's hand, and then the other hand, he gets the claws and he breaks open the mustard, and he holds onto the mustard. And all of a sudden, it's working. It's working. And for a minute, and then they start like, they're in pain. Their body has like lights under it. Wolverine's shirt comes off.
Literally, his shirt dissolves.
It bursts. It bursts. Like, it comes to pieces. It bursts. And then all of a sudden, Deadpool, in this most serious moment ever, suddenly peeks over to his abs and like nods at them.
Nice.
So funny. I know, nice. Yeah. And then Madonna's playing. Just like a prayer. It's so fun. Like, bro, I got so emotional again at that point because I was like, oh my god. And then Cassandra starts like freaking out. Her head starts going everywhere, but so does theirs. And then all of a sudden, you see Cassandra in a pile of guck, like she's just been exploded, basically.
And you don't. Basically, it's taken as in Deadpool and Wolverine are dead, basically.
And Wolverine.
Yeah, because
but everyone thinks they're dead. Yeah. So then the TVA show up after all of this is done.
The boss lady, she's actually from the
is she from
the
Loki?
The Loki one. As I referenced many times.
I know, every time you say actually they're from, and I'm like, it's gonna be Loki again, isn't it? Every time, bro. Yeah, she
Good
shows
show,
up and
man. It's
she's like,
good.
she wants to whip Paradox, like, and he deserves it.
Yeah, he
But then
makes up an
Paradox
excuse.
pretends to care. Yeah, he's like, we're not the real heroes. It's them who went down there, my friends who went down there. And now look, they're both dead, saving everyone. And then all of a sudden, Deadpool's like, that's not true. And then they walk out, and then Wolverine's still not got a shirt on. It's the best ever.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good. And he's like, yeah, it would have killed one of us, but there was two of us.
Yeah, you didn't
So
account
it
for that.
didn't.
Yeah.
The Cool Ranch and the mustard, bro. It's the combo only works if it's Wolverine and Deadpool. So yeah, they weren't dead, and my tears stopped again because I was worried. And then Paradox is like, fuck. Like, Paradox is pissed.
Yeah, so he gets taken away then by the TVA then.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna deal with you. And I do like how everyone's looking at Wolverine's chest, and then Deadpool's just like, put them away, you preening slut. It's so funny. It was like only Deadpool would call Wolverine that and get away with it. It's so funny. So then Wolverine puts his shirt back on.
But he gets like a TVA jacket. He gets.
Yeah, but before that, he gives his mask. Like, he takes his mask off and he gives it to the guy that looked at.
Oh yeah.
Deadpool's butt
Yeah.
at the start. That's the guy that holds his mask while he's looking at it. It's so funny, and everyone's so disappointed when he puts his shirt back on, or well, the TVA thing on. Yeah, and then all of a sudden the lady's like, "Oh yeah, we need to get rid of you though, because you're an anomaly.
Yeah, you shouldn't be here in this universe."
To the dead.
Yeah.
Wasn't it because she wanted to get rid of Deadpool for everything he's done, and then she also wanted to get rid of Wolverine because he's in the wrong timeline.
Not really. She looks at it and she checks the timeline, and they fixed it. They cleared the slate. So if you remember, they look at the.
Well, no, before that though.
Yeah.
Peter shows up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because it seems as though, all this was for nothing. Suddenly the vibe changes, and he's like, "Wait, no, we just saved everyone." And then all of a sudden it's like, "Hold up!" It's Peter again. And then she's like, "And you are?" He's like, "Peter, that's my name. I hope you'll call me it." And then he's like, "This guy is good. Don't worry, there can be 2 Deadpools," or something. He says something like that. And then all of a sudden she just takes his word for it. It's so funny. Like, Peter's impact on people is hilarious in this like, he is the car salesman. Like, he's really good at his job. So then she's like, "Oh my god, you saved everyone. Wait, look at the timelines. They're all repairing." And then he's like, "You deserve to be, you deserve a good rest. I doubt your work here is over," which also kind of makes us think that, we're going to get this team up again, which is very exciting. And then,
they talk about, like,
and then she's like,
he asked if he could fix Wolverine's timeline and stuff like that, but she said if she did that, he wouldn't become who he is.
She's like, "No, because..." And then I almost got emotional again. Well, how many times have I almost cried? Like 5 now, I think, in total.
I think it was 6 nearly.
Oh yeah, and then, well, actually, and immediately after that, I almost cried because Deadpool's like, "Actually, there's some people we left behind. Can you make sure that they make it home?" And I assumed when he said that, he meant their bodies, not them. Because Goliath came.
But you don't see.
Do you not
so
remember?
Just remember, if you don't see someone die in a Marvel movie,
I know. I know that. Well, I know that by the end, but that's why I almost cried again, because I thought that's what he meant. Can you make sure they're remembered and that you bring them home? And then she was like, "Yeah," and I was like, yeah. So that was.
Yeah, so
I'm so glad they were okay. I thought Wolverine's allowed to stay, isn't he?
I don't think so. Sure. I think he has to leave.
I thought he has to. I thought that she said it was okay for him to stay because he was like, because when they were like, can't remember what she says, but she says something about Deadpool, and he goes, "You're welcome," and then she says something about him, and he goes, "He's welcome."
Okay,
and then
let me know now, because I have to. I'm waiting for this movie to come out now, and it comes out. I'm gonna rewatch it.
They live together now.
They don't though.
Wolverine lives with fucking.
He shows up as
Blind Owl.
He shows up at his place, but I don't think he's living together.
They eat shawarma like the Avengers.
Yeah. He's like,
and then Deadpool's like, "Do you know that the Avengers created shawarma?" Yeah. And then it was so funny because like he was like, "Oh, so you want to meet again sometime soon?"
He's like, "No."
And then Wolverine's like, "No," and he starts walking away, and then he suddenly goes, "Logan." And then he shows up, and it's so funny. It's like Deadpool's like introducing his boyfriend to the parents.
Oh yeah.
And then Al's not had any cocaine, so she's like, "I'm shaking like a fucking vibrator." And he's like, "Excuse me, there's a guest. This is Logan."
Call her Blind Al.
And then they've also got and he's like, "Well, she's blind." And then he's got the dog with him. and then she touches his tongue, and she's like, "Motherfucker!" It's so funny.
She's great. She's in all his movies. I love it. I love her so much.
I know, I love her. She's so iconic. And then they all have dinner together, and it's like a party. Everyone's there. They're all having food, and it's so sweet. And then now I'm going to talk about the part I don't like, ladies and gentlemen. I'm tired of Vanessa, bro. I'm tired. When Deadpool was holding on to Wolverine's hand and it was very homoerotic, he was thinking about everyone. And then he thought about Vanessa and he was like, I can't die. I love Vanessa, blah, blah, blah. And then he looked back at Wolverine and I'm like, bro, you should let go of your girlfriend to find your husband. Like, it's pissing me off. And then at the end, when they're at the dinner table and then it's very sweet, don't get me wrong, when Logan goes, give me the dog and talk to the fucking girl, because that's all he's thinking about. But it's like, bro, she said she has a boyfriend. She doesn't want to be with you again. She doesn't like your career. Like, she doesn't respect you for who you are. I'm sorry. Like, I get that, yeah, her crazy matches your crazy. Okay, bro, so does you and Wolverine. Your freak matched his freak. You almost fucked in a Honda Odyssey. Like, it's tiring me out. Like, I'm like, bro, I just don't like their dynamic. I don't want them to be together. Like, it's freaking me out. And I'm like, how are you going to make the whole movie about how these two are perfect for each other, and then you're going to separate them, and then force me to sit here and watch Deadpool and Vanessa flirt again? Like, I don't want it. I don't want it. Don't give me it. I don't want it. I hope that she breaks his heart again, because that's all she does, and then he ends up crying to Wolverine, and finally, you know, we actually get to see Deadpool being bisexual or pansexual, which he actually is canonically, by the way. So, you know, you're stressing me out. I just wanted to say that. I didn't like that. And then she puts her hand on his, and it's like, what's going on? I don't like this. I don't like this. Like, she even named the boyfriend. Maybe she made him up. I do not care. I do not like it. I don't like it. I'm over it.
I don't mind it too much. In the I like to think that she's actually Lady Death, and she, like, that's how she's visioned in the series, in the, like, because she's,
that would be cool.
So I would
let you cook if that was the case.
Yeah, because that's what I'd like to think. Because that's what she does in the, you know, all the comics and stuff like that, where she toys with Wade, like, she pulls, like, Deadpool along, and they physically can't be together. There's always something, but he keeps coming back and like, it's like the you know, Yennefer and Geralt, you know what I mean? They're kind of connected in that sense. They always keep coming back, even though
they can't stay together.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the thing is with them, it's like, at first the reason Yennefer and Geralt can't be apart is because of the Djinn curse, like the wish.
Yeah.
But then eventually the reason they can't. Yeah, but then eventually it's because they're just not. They just can't with each other.
Deadpool can't be with Lady Death because he can't die. That's his thing. Like, he has to figure out how to die to be with.
But you know what? I saw someone analyze, like, the whole dynamic between Wolverine and Deadpool, and I really liked it because it was like he finally found someone who he doesn't have to worry about hurting, and he finally found someone he doesn't have to worry about dying. In terms of Deadpool,
I don't think Wolverine swings that way. I don't think so. I'm sorry. Like, he's never been. He's always been.
How many guys do you know that can just calmly be like, yeah, well, your dick's sticking against me? Like, he was too chill about it. He was too chill about it. I'm sorry.
He just wasn't given like Deadpool the reaction I like to think, because he's just like.
No, I think they fucked. They fucked.
You lean into that with Deadpool. Like,
how are you going to be alive 200 years and be a mutant and see all these things and not even be a little gay, bro? It's not realistic. I'm sorry. Like, if you meet anyone who's been through a lot of traumatic experiences, and I'm not about to talk about the psychology of being gay and whether or not it's a mental illness. All I'm saying is that people who go through shit and, you know, have other things going on mentally, they tend not to be super straight. So I'm just saying, like, logically and scientifically, the chances of Wolverine being completely straight in every universe, it's not high. I'm just saying. Just let me cook.
No, but honestly, I don't deny it. Like, but I believe, though,
I'm not saying he's gay. I'm not saying that Wolverine's gay. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, you know.
No,
maybe.
Look, I don't disagree with you, but I'm just saying there's never been any canonical version of that kind of Wolverine, if you know what I mean. I've been following. I feel
like Wolverine. We just got it.
I've been following Wolverine throughout the entire. Like, now, if someone, please, if you want to disapprove me, please do bring up, show me proof. Yeah, show me. Like, show me the real canonical something.
Show me. Bro wants to see it. Elder's like, unless you show me Wolverine having sex with a man, I'm not believing it. Get me the photos. What's the guy in Spider-Man? Show me the photos. Give me the photos.
It's never gonna make me dislike him anyway, and I
No, because we're not bigots.
No, 100%.
And you shouldn't be watching anything with Deadpool if you are. It doesn't make sense to me. Like I was seeing some people on Instagram who were like, he makes fun of God like twice, so I couldn't watch the movie. And it's like, did you watch the first two?
Did you see the I was on TikTok earlier and some woman was just like, oh, she put up on things like, I had to leave Deadpool after 25 minutes of it. I couldn't watch it and stuff like that. Like, you went to see Deadpool. I'm sorry, like, have you never seen the
Like,
two
did you
other
see
movies?
but it's like the people who were genuinely surprised that he was like saying offensive stuff, especially to certain religions. And I'm like, do you know who Deadpool is? Just a
I think
question.
it's because do you know what the reason why?
Because it was so
Not
advertised.
only that, it's because it has the Disney banner and it has the it's not owned by Fox anymore, and I think it brought in the Disney
I
crowd,
think a
and they
lot of
just
people they don't really realize how much Disney has branched out
yeah.
in that regard. Like, I think people still associate Disney with like, Mickey Mouse and
Oh yeah.
I don't know, fucking Pocahontas, and it's like it's so much more than that now. Like it's like they've got Disney Plus, like the amount of shit that's on there that wouldn't necessarily
God no.
vibe with it's like it's different. Like there's Disney and then there's Disney,
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people just see Disney and they're like, "Oh, this is family friendly and Christ pilled."
Like
And then
Marvel
but it's
has
like, bro, please just Google Deadpool.
mad sick things like Marvel like in their comic books because think about it, they've been making these
Oh
for
yeah.
years. I mean,
Bro, the things they've been doing to Spider-Man in the comics. Like there's a version of Spider-Man where he's like radioactive and he nuts in his girlfriend and the sperm is like radioactive and it kills her.
yeah.
I'm serious. This is a version of Spider-Man. Like every Spider-Man has to suffer and some of them suffer a
Oh
lot
yeah.
worse than others. So yeah, Marvel is
Yeah.
evil.
So
Like they're the stuff they put their characters through.
but because Disney only obviously own Marvel now, like just because as it didn't yeah.
And everyone's like, this is the most R-rated Marvel movie.
There's a reason.
I'm like, well, you put Wolverine and Deadpool together,
Yeah.
bro. What did you expect?
Oh no.
But yeah, no, it's not for kids, bro. It's not for kids. Not if you want them having a normal life and you don't want them saying fucked up shit. Like, don't let kids be anywhere near Deadpool. Like, the nearest I want your kids to be to Deadpool is playing with his skin on Fortnite. That's it.
The only thing I'm worried about the Deadpool is how they're going to use him going forward. So this movie was great. I don't want to see him in I think they're trying to bring him into an Avengers movie, and I don't want anywhere near an Avengers movie because he won't.
Oh
There's
yeah.
no way they're going to make that.
Well, there's been
R-rated.
a lot
There's
of
no way. They want kids are obsessed with it. No, but they're building up for him to come into be in the Marvel series, and I'm terrified about it. So.
I know. Well, there's been a few people who have speculated that maybe I don't know. Like I read fan fiction, ladies and gentlemen, and it's not. Some of these people are genuinely talented and very well researched on the characters that they are writing. All right. So thank you very much. It's not something little girls do. Us adult women do it too. And there was one where it was like Logan like never left the universe and he had to pay rent because like they need to pay rent for the apartment. So he joined the Avengers. And I loved that because it's like Wolverine in the Avengers, but Deadpool still didn't manage to get into the Avengers. It was so fucking funny.
I can see that, right? I can actually see them do that in the movie series.
Well, that's
and
what I'm saying. That feels more right to me
yeah.
than
and then they end up getting the shit kicked out of them from Doctor Doom, and then have to go to Deadpool for assistance. I could see that happening
that would
down
be
the
so
line.
cool. I would like that.
But the only problem I have with that is Deadpool can't be himself. Like it won't be like this movie. It'd be like a less bloody, less mouthy, a less like Deadpool in the movie.
Yeah, no, you're right.
That's why I was like, just either go all in or don't go in at all. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, go all in or not at all. Yeah, I get it. But I feel like maybe what they're doing is they're trying to wait for the audiences to grow up. Maybe.
No, I'm sorry.
Because it's true.
No way they're gonna...
There's people who've done that. I'm saying, like, oh, the first Avengers movie came out and they were kids, and then the next one came out and they were young adults, and they're waiting for most age groups to be okay with maybe
I don't
having
think
a Deadpool in there.
they'll ever make an R-rated.
But I agree with you though. I feel like
no way. It would be
kind of cool though. That would make me like the Avengers again.
Going in with my speculation hat on.
The speculation hat. Is that what happened to the Ivory Coast hat? Did it become the speculation hat, and that's why you can't find it? Did you ever find it?
I found it. Okay, it was.
Okay.
I came in. If anyone's wondering, I came in one of the days.
Don't get touchy. I'm just asking.
I did find it.
Okay, good.
I actually don't know where it is right now. I had it on.
Oh my god. Okay, lost again.
I was wearing. It was very. I wore it out today because it was sunny. Okay.
Okay. You wore that
Sometimes
out?
I wear it.
You wear that actual, no, unironically?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I get funny looks with it. It's hilarious. It's
Yeah,
great.
I bet. I mean, I think we've covered everything. Like,
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was a really feel-good movie. The sad bits weren't sad for too long, which I really respect and really appreciate because for me that's really important. Hugh Jackman back at it till he's 90.
Can I just say that?
Yeah.
Just the one part I was kind of disappointed in, and it's not a bad part really at all. It's just the last fight scene against all the Deadpools. I felt like it was kind of anticlimactic. It was over really quickly.
Well, the thing is, it wasn't really over really quickly. It would have went on for a really long time
I get
for
it. I
Peter.
understand that.
Well, they couldn't, like time-wise, they couldn't because they needed to get in and save the world.
I was hoping. I was just hoping to see a bit more of like Lady Deadpool and the.
Yeah, but it was Blake Lively, and she was shooting for It Ends With Us at the moment.
That's all my kind of gripes on it. It's nothing really bad. Like the movie is like nearly a 10 out of 10. I probably give it a 9 out of 10.
Did you watch the ending credits where it was like
yeah.
What was the song? Time of Your Life. That made me emotional. Yeah. There's another one I always cried. I thought I was safe because the movie was over, but then they started showing backstage footage of like the old X-Men movies and stuff. Like Elektra and then Deadpool when he looked like Ryan Reynolds.
The original X-Men movie, I fucking in 2000 it came out, and I have a big affinity for that movie because that was partially written by David Hayter. The guy that does the voice of Snake, he helped write that movie and set it up and directed.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
And it's just, God, man, it's just like that movie has such a connection for me. And it was the first time Hugh Jackman decided to play the role as Wolverine, obviously.
Yeah, and then he's talking about it when he's talking about it in the credits, and he's like, people are like, "Who's this guy?"
Yeah,
like I got emotional, bro. I love Ryan Reynolds for putting that in there. I respect that. I love that. Like, I feel like everyone, like, the thing is, I don't know if anyone's like me, but for a long time, I didn't care about X-Men or Wolverine or anything like that. Like, I just grew up, and then watching this and watching those clips reminded me of how much I loved it. And how much those movies meant to me and how much Wolverine meant to me. You know, the autism hyperfixation used to go burr for X-Men. Probably before I was even diagnosed. So like I was getting emo. I was like, oh my god, I'm just like the spark is reigniting in me.
Yeah.
Like it was so emotional and so nice and very tastefully done. I really enjoyed that. And then right at the end when the credits are all done and you see Deadpool all of a sudden. Because it was so funny because everyone in my cinema stayed.
Oh yeah, you have to.
Like the lights went on. But the thing is, everyone knew though.
Oh, I knew.
So funny, like, and then the cleaners were just looking at us.
Because I watched like reviews on movies for a go and non-spoiler reviews, and everyone said at the non-spoiler reviews to stick at the end. So, because my missus was like, "Oh great, let's go," I was like,
"Yeah." So the cleaners were like looking at us like we were weird. Like they put the lights on and everything, and I was like, "I'm not going anywhere, bro." And then right at the end, they really made you think it was the end. The screen went black, and then all of a sudden. Deadpool was like, okay, I just need to show you this tape because I'm getting slandered. And people think that I got Johnny killed, but I didn't. And then it shows us the clip of when they're in the sphere.
Yeah.
And then Johnny's talking absolute shit about Cassandra. And he says some crazy stuff.
that you never thought you would have said. And you thought Deadpool actually just made it all up to get him killed, which he didn't.
And I like it as well because apparently Chris Evans helped write the stuff he said there. So it's just so funny. The guy who plays Captain America wrote like... she can eat my ass and all the awful things he said.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
But I loved that. Deadpool was like, see, it's not my fault. I didn't say that.
To see him finally get brought back to do this is the iconic fight, right? It's either two fights that Wolverine is iconic for. One's against the Hulk and the other's against Deadpool. There's two most iconic stuff that everyone kind of grasps onto through the history of the Wolverine. The fact that we finally got it and it done good. They did it good. I'm pretty happy. So go see this movie, everybody. It's well worth it. And
go see it. And it's it's so gay if you like that as well. And honestly, I just want to say as well, you can quote this. If I ever get famous, you can quote this, and I mean it. Hugh Jackman, I know you're divorced now. I know I'm young. I know I'm low-key the same age as one of your children. But listen, I'm very mature. Maybe when I'm famous, I'll be a bit older. I would love to be your scandalously younger girlfriend. If you are interested, I would treat you so right. I would go to all of your rehearsals or whatever. So just let me know, you know? If that's ever something you're interested in, let me know. I'll be there. I promise. Like, I'll fly out. I'll be there. Thank you.
And just let me say, Ryan, if you're looking for a man, Irish man in his 30s.
Oh my god. It was so funny because I saw an Instagram post and it was like Hugh Jackman is for the women and Ryan Reynolds is for the men.
Oh.
I was serious though. Like that was serious. But yeah, thank you for listening everyone. I will be on the AO3 Wolverine. I just want to say as well, I know Elder you have no clue about this, but there's a popular site where people write stories about fictional characters called Archive of Our Own. And there is a tag there. A tag is like, you know, like the tags on Twitch or whatever, where you like categorize things. And there is a very famous tag right now, called That Scene in the Honda Odyssey.
Oh god.
So it's famous enough that people have made like stories simply about that scene in the Honda Odyssey, which I thought was very funny. So yeah, I'll be on there tonight. Appreciate you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments if you know, what your thoughts were. Did you like it the way that we did? Did you not like it? What did you not like or what did you like? Who was your favorite cameo appearance? Mine is between, even though Elektra was really cool, mine was between, and same with Laura, mine was between Blade and Gambit were both super cool for me. Gambit especially because we've never seen him in a movie, you know, so I think Channing Tatum did an amazing job. And a lot of people have been hating on the accent, and I've done my research, the accent isn't that bad. And apparently he wanted to get it between accurate and funny.
Yeah, and he nailed it. He nailed it.
You know? And I love, even though these characters weren't on screen for long, they were super memorable, and I'm glad they got their chance to shine. So thank you to Ryan and probably a few other people who were responsible for that. Epic. I really enjoyed it. You have reignited the flame after I've went to movies with Ray and Alex, like fucking Doctor Strange, and I've hated every minute of it. And I've been like, is this what Marvel is now? Like, you know, genuinely depressed leaving the cinema.
Yeah.
And then I suddenly went to see this movie and I remembered how much I loved X-Men, how good Wolverine was. And it reignited that. And it made me have hope. I have hope now.
Passion, and they have good writers, and
when they have people who actually care about the characters. It's people who care about the characters. Yeah, I hope he really does do it till he's 90. And I hope, you know, even if I have to date him when he's 90, I'll be there. And why was Thor crying?
Yeah, we'll never know.
Why? Why? Is it because you read a really sad fan fiction about Wolverine and Deadpool?